Welcome back to another episode of The Upgrade with an intro. My name is Gary Muttley. He is
Len Carmichael, Landmine Studios, coming to you straight from Route 1 in North Brunswick, New Jersey. And I think this is going to be episode number 1 of It's Time.
Yeah, sounds like it. We are joined by our buddy, the one and only John Wren.
There should only be one. There's too many. If there's another one, there's too many.
Hey, listen, wasn't this your idea? Sort of. It's time.
I think it was me and his idea kind of at the same time. But,
yeah, who died last week that we were like they should hang it up? It's usually what it works out is like someone gets obliterated and we're like, all right, time to go.
Oh,
all right. Man. Well, what sparked the idea of doing this show is like this segment of the show is Chris Weidman breaking his leg.
Oh,
but that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
we just never talked about it on air. But it's time.
Do we have to?
No, we don't got to get into it. But you know, for the listeners out there, there was a leg injury during a fight that mirrored a leg injury that he had caused himself like 8 years ago or 7 years ago or whatever it was. God. And it was exactly the same thing. And you know, Chris Weidman hasn't been an elite fighter in a long time, and now with a broken leg, I think it's time.
I agree. I hated it. The Anderson Silva thing was terrible.
Oh God, it's so bad.
I mean, I probably talked about this at some point, but when that shit happened to Sid Vicious in WCW back in the day, that shit was the worst.
Ugh.
The worst.
Like, I personally can't think of anything that I would want to have. Like, if I watch somebody break their arm or, like, get a broken nose, I'm just like, whatever. Like, I can move on from that. But when you got the fucking broken leg, it's just, I don't know. There's something that just, it just turns your stomach.
The worst part about it is every time that it happens, they step on it.
Yep.
Yeah. And you just see it flopping around. Oh, it's terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. Oh, why can't that happen to Hulk Hogan? Fuck. Like that I'll watch over and over. None of the other ones.
It just like completely pops out of its socket.
The other one. Well, was it Tyrone Woodley get knocked out again? It's time.
That was one of them. I'm trying to think who the last couple fights were, but there was a bunch of fights where Jacare got his arm broken.
Oh God, Jacare!
Oh yeah,
his damn arm.
It's done for him.
It's done. Stop. And I mean, they released him, which is good, but it's also bad. Like they should have just kept him on the fucking payroll and just been like, "Yo, we're not giving you any more fights because you're dumb." They don't even like him that much.
They say that the UFC contracts are so ironclad that they can basically own you forever. If you're down to one fight like left, they can hold that like non-compete clause for forever.
Yeah,
I mean you go to Japan and just get fucked out of ever fighting in the US ever again, but they if you want to fight in the US, like they can stop you from doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that too. It doesn't surprise me at all. But it's still like ugh.
It did surprise me when they released Chuck Liddell because apparently Liddell still had like a couple fights left on his contract, and he just retired. And when he wanted to fight Tito in that Oscar De La Hoya thing, Dana tried to talk him out of it, and I guess that they had a conversation, and Dana's like, "Fine, I'll give you your release. This one's on you, but I don't want you to do it." But
and I mean, clearly we saw that fight. Well, at least we saw the highlight.
I watched that Chuck Liddell. I would fight that Chuck Liddell in 3 seconds.
Well, I feel like
the Chuck Liddell 2004, no way. Chuck Liddell, that fight, absolutely.
I feel like a stiff wind would knock Chuck Liddell out right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that goes for a bunch of those guys. Like, I don't think Tank Abbott's really a threat now.
If he's even alive.
I think he is.
He's probably drunk right now in some bar in Texas, ready to fight someone.
Did you guys see that Anderson Silva accepted that fight with Cesar Chavez Jr.?
Yeah.
And I mean, he's going to get his ass whooped.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, he'll look all right until give it 3-4 rounds, and then he realizes that he's not a boxer.
Right.
And that he's 44, 45 years old.
Also, I mentioned Tyron Woodley, and he's signed up now to fight the other Logan boy. And
oh, God.
You know what?
The other Paul
boy. Sorry,
yeah.
Jake Paul. That's it. He's gonna get his ass whooped. I think. I hate to say it, but he hasn't looked good in 5 years.
No, I will argue that he looked good in his last fight. He just fought a guy that knocked out. He just was fighting a guy that's too good. Like that Vincent Lepet or whatever the hell that dude's name was that he's fighting. That guy's an up-and-comer, and Woodley's on his way out. But I'll give Woodley credit in that fight, and he actually commented about it. He said that in the last once he won the title, he changed the way he trained. He dictated the training, and he let it go, and he went on that streak of losing fights. And for this last fight, he let his coaches coach him again. He finally was like, they're telling me where to be, when to be there, what to do. I'm putting all my faith in my coaches. I think he looked like the old Tyrant. He just fought, a hungrier lion. If he does that for this fight, he still has dynamite in his hand. So if he hits, I mean, I haven't seen anything that Jake Paul has done that says to me he's a good boxer, other than he's landed.
No, I don't think
he's landed some killer heavy punches, and that's it. And against guys that shouldn't have been boxing.
I think Tyron Woodley's fucking shit, and if he gets caught, he's going to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's always that possibility, but I think this is the fight that Jake needs. If they're not just out there trying to get money, and he wants to get his dick hard by saying look, I'm tough, then this is the fight that he needs to take. Because
he's already signed and took it, so
yeah. But here's the question: just because of who's involved, do you think that that's going to be a legit shoot fight, or are we going into work territory?
Well, now he's not part of Showtime, or he's not part of Triller anymore. Jake Paul is now actually a Showtime fighter, so that'll. Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Boxing has its clear history of fixing fights and shit.
Oh yeah.
But I think that this one's gonna be way more legit than any of the Triller shit. It's gonna have a full production. It's gonna look like this Mayweather shit show that happened. At least that looked like a boxing event, even though it really wasn't. It was kind of nonsense. But I think the fight will.
We're gonna get real.
Yeah, it will look real. I think it will be a real fight.
Okay.
Does Woodley show up and actually fight him? That's the $1 million question. But they already have a rematch clause if Paul loses, so that something says to me that this is going to be as legit as possible. Because if he loses, there's the immediate rematch for more money, and maybe Paul can redeem himself. I have no idea, but to me, it sounds, because Showtime's involved, it sounds like it's more legit than it would if it was on Triller. I'd be like, there's no way Woodley's winning.
Yeah. Well, I guess with Showtime backing it, they kind of have to be more careful about that, because they don't want to turn into Elite XC.
Well, they also don't want to fuck. They also probably don't want to fuck the commissions over. I have no idea what Triller does, if any of that shit was actually really sanctioned by anybody. But right. That I don't think Showtime's going to do something legit, because that shit will be at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, or the MGM Grand. It's going to be in front of real pundits of like the sport. So,
I think they've got something at risk there, which is their reputation, because Showtime's obviously got a high reputation.
Wait a minute, Ren.
What?
You're trying to say that I'm not a real pundit of the sport? Are you calling me out on my own show?
Calling you an asshole.
Well, he could still be a pundit and an asshole.
That's very true.
Because there are plenty of those.
But I think for this fight particularly, I think like even the last one when he fought Askren, it was still more of like a media circus. And don't get me wrong, anytime the Paul brothers step into a ring or do anything, it's going to be a media circus. But I think this one's going to have more of the traditional boxing feel, the weigh-ins, the lead up to the fight, like how all looks. I don't think it's going to have that weird spectacle. I don't think like Kid Rock's going to be performing at it or some shit.
You don't think he's going to have a Pokemon card on a chain?
You don't think it's going to have crime faces there doing the commentary?
No, I think like Jim Lampley is probably going to be like calling that fight.
Oh my god.
Yo, all right. So let's talk about this shit show that happened last night. So what I'm talking about for those
and this will be the last time I talk about it, so that I can forget it forever.
I'm with John on that one. Like, let's get it out of the way, and we will never speak of this again.
Logan Paul fought Floyd Money Mayweather in an exhibition fight. Where was it? Was it in Vegas?
No, it was in Florida. It was at the Dolphins Stadium.
And to be clear, I did not pay for this. I did not even watch it on time. I was watching Handmaid's Tale because that was way more interesting or important to me than this bullshit. But I did catch a replay of it.
That was more realistic than this fight?
Yeah, way more realistic. And so I watched the 8 rounds this afternoon just to make sure I was prepared for this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bro, both of you, double bro. What the fuck?
Bro.
So to me, that's
straight.
Did you watch any of the other card?
No, I didn't get.
So you didn't watch Chad Ochocinco like almost get knocked out?
No, I didn't see it.
I didn't watch it either. I heard about it.
Before we get to the freak show main event, Chad Ochocinco fought his professional boxing debut against I guess the guy's all right. I don't know. Like, I have some friends that know like about all these like up and comers, but the dude dropped him. Like I was like, oh shit, he's dead. But like he got back up and he finished the fight. And then after the fight, he's like, yeah, I'm good. And they're like, oh, you got knocked down. Like, how do you feel? And he's like, yeah, I'm ready for Conor McGregor. And I was like, shut the fuck up, man.
Whoa.
I'm like, you clearly got the sense punched right out of your head in that.
I mean, we all know that I'm no Conor McGregor fan, but that's just fucking bullshit even think about.
Well, the thing about Conor is anyone that's within like 15 pounds of him in any fucking sport that involves fighting, they're gonna call him out because they want that fucking $10 million payday.
Right, of course.
Yeah,
that's all. It's literally the only reason everyone will want to fight Conor, whether they think they can beat the guy or not. They want that payday.
Yeah, they want that payday. It's like Len. It's like what you and I talked about recently with like low level rappers calling out high level rappers just to get some shine. It's like, just stop.
Dude, you got to know your place. If you don't have the weight to call out a heavyweight, don't do it. And I'm not talking about like physical heavyweight, but I'm just talking like somebody at the top of the game. If you don't got the skills to do it, don't do it. You just look stupid.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Conor, and the thing about Conor's not even going to entertain that. Like, what the hell does he get out of it?
Nothing.
Yeah. So,
well, but here's the question I guess that I have when it comes to all this bullshit with Floyd. Like, what is he getting out of it? Obviously, he's getting money.
I mean,
but Conor could get money too.
Yeah, but I don't think Conor's at the point that Mayweather is. I think Mayweather's like literally goes, "This is a safe $30 million for me," or whatever the fuck he made. I think he made $30 million on sponsors. I think they said he's going to walk away with close to $100 million after that. It's $100 million to fight a YouTube dude that was 0-1 in professional boxing. Like all Floyd was like, "Yeah, I'll put in like 3 or 4 weeks of training, and I'll go fight this kid, and I'm going to make a shit ton of money. I'm not fighting any of the actual fighters anymore," and that was it. Like Floyd is like the reason he's Money Mayweather is like that's all that dude thinks about. He thinks about prize fighting. He just wants money. He fought that kid in Japan a few years ago that he like was bigger than. That was a joke, but he made like an easy $10 million on that. I think that's where Floyd's at that point where he's like, I'm 50-0, I'm retired, I did what I wanted to do in boxing. Now it's time to just take the easy paychecks. And I think this fight that he just had was probably the last paycheck in that sense that he's going to get. Like now he's going to have to do the promotion shit.
I don't know. I think there's still going to be people that are going to be willing to pony out money to go watch.
But Floyd does. I will say this: the fight against Logan Paul was that was safe for him. Like he knew. Like there's even being out of his last like actual fight was when he fought Conor. What was that, like 6 years ago, or something like that?
No, Conor was 3.5, 4 years.
Okay, so it's been 4 years. It's been 4 years. It's been 4 years since he put in a real boxing camp for a real fight, and and so that kid he fought in Japan was like all the rules were like thrown out were confined to benefit him, and then he fought a kid that is 0-1 and looked horrendous in his only professional fight. I think the more he goes with his age, I mean, because Logan Paul hit him a couple of times. I mean, it was in the first round and it didn't really hurt him, but I mean, the kid still hit him a half a dozen times. If he gets in there,
hit him with some real shots in the last round too, I think.
Yeah, but if Floyd takes like a guy that's a little bit like I would say a little bit more skilled than Logan Paul. If he fought Jake Paul probably might have knocked him out. I'm not saying that that's a likely scenario, but if he lands those same punches that his brother did, I think he hits harder. So what does that do? I don't think Floyd wants to, although he's 50-0 officially, he never wants a loss. And last night was probably the closest thing to a loss that he's ever had.
Right.
Because there's no way that kid should have went 8 rounds with him.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I think it was like the 4th or 5th. I did not watch the fight a second time because I would have blown my brains out. But but it was like in the 4th or 5th round or whatever, Mayweather hits him and holds him up. They like tie up immediately, and you see Logan Paul kind of go limp for a second. I was like, oh shit, did he like knock him out and kept him up so that it went all 8 rounds? Like there's a gif of it like floating around on Twitter and whatnot where they're like, yo, I think he actually did knock him out and he saved it so that he could drag it out for 8 rounds. But if I'm Mayweather, you toy with him for 3 rounds, you give people the show, you let everyone think that Logan Paul has a chance, and then you fucking crush him and get him out of there and just be like, see, this is what happens when you play a real man sport.
Yeah, but there were rules around this fight saying that you couldn't really be knocked out. They could stop the fight, but you weren't really allowed to knock each other out.
Well, that was apparently supposed to be the rules of the Tyson, what's his face, Roy Jones fight. But they was punching it. I mean, they were trying.
They were trying, but didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that was one of the rules because some of the stuff that I saw where they were talking about it, they said the only way there would really be a definitive, there were no judges or anything, so the only definitive winner would be if there was a knockout.
Yeah, well, that's what I heard, is that there was rules around, no real knockouts allowed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, but it's just stupid. I don't understand why people keep spending money on this sideshow bullshit.
That's the intrigue of it, because it's a freak thing.
Oh, I fucking hate it. I hate when the UFC does it, and I hate...
In all honesty, had Logan Paul did like the miracle and knocked him out last night,
yeah,
it would have been one of those, like, where were you when that happened? The greatest, you know, as they say, like, the greatest fighter, you know, some people will say that the greatest fighter of all time, or in that conversation of, like, the top 5, top 10 of all time, gets knocked out by a YouTube kid that's 0-1 and lost to that KSI. Like, he didn't even fight an actual pro fighter. He fought like a fucking another YouTuber and lost. Right. And if he goes in his second fight ever and beats Floyd Mayweather, or especially if he knocked him out, like, that would have been, that'd be, well, that would have killed, that probably would have killed boxing. Like, Floyd Mayweather went to remember boxing.
Mayweather is 155 pounds, and Logan Paul was basically 190 pounds.
I don't think that matters, though. I still don't think that matters, like the 30 pounds, because Floyd is so good at what he does, and he proved it in that fight. Because I think the CompuBox at the very end of the event, they said that, like, Logan Paul landed 9% of his punches, and Mayweather landed like 61 or some shit like that. Shit. Like, it was like a complete fucking blowout. Like, Mayweather won the fight. Like, Logan Paul can take, like, the feather in his cap and say, like, oh, I went 8 rounds and didn't get knocked out. But, like, if there was judges, if anyone with like a you know, half of an eye on that fight, Mayweather won bell to bell.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is, like, I don't know. It was weird. That whole event was weird too, because it, like, rained and, like, delayed shit. Like they decided to have it outside in Miami, and much like I think that just happened with, like, WrestleMania. Like, rained like half the time. Yeah. Same arena. Oh no, WrestleMania was in Tampa, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in Tampa at the stadium.
Yeah, but same thing.
They had rain, but I guess the big problem that they had was that there was a bunch of thunderstorms, so, like, the lightning, so they had to stop the show.
Oh yeah, I think in the boxing event, it was just raining, and they, like, delayed fighters coming out because, like, no one wanted to walk out, and dude, just put an umbrella over them. Fuck it. Make it look, it's already stupid.
Yeah, well, you could do that. With WrestleMania, they had a giant fucking stage that was like a pirate ship and shit. So, like, you know, hey, let's go dance around these lightning rods.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a little different, but
yeah.
Yet Hulk Hogan still did not get hit by lightning. But I'm so sick of this sideshow bullshit, and the UFC's been doing it, and this stuff. Like, I don't understand why people are wasting their money on this shit, and it drives me nuts.
Well, I mean, you have to go back to Pride. Like, Pride did it. Pride was notorious for it. Like, half their fucking cards were, like, crazy fights that shouldn't even happened. Like, I remember when Fedor fought that dude Zulu, and, like, the betting line was like negative 10,000. You had to spend $10,000 on Fedor to win $100. Like, why did that fight happen?
Oh man, but I guess Pride was different. I don't know.
Well, I guess
like Pride.
A bit different.
They love their behemoths over there.
Oh, for sure.
That's why Bob Sapp continues to get fights.
Oh, sure. Well, listen, when Billy Club went over there, we were asked a few times if we were, like, wrestlers or fighters, because it's just like, oh, a bunch of big dudes. Like, are you guys fighters? Like, should have said yes.
just pick one of them up.
Yeah, it's like, or grab him by the neck. Like, do I look like a fighter to you? But
next thing you know, you're in some fucking dungeon fighting a Nakumite. You're like, God damn
it. Dipping your hands in the fucking glass.
Oh my God! I saw some of that this weekend. That's another story. But there were some GCW shows this weekend, and there was definitely a Taipei death match where they used the hot glue in the glass.
Yo, so while we're on the subject of that shit, I've been catching up on this season's Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh boy!
And I finally like saw the deal with this Nick Gage dude.
Oh yeah.
I kind of want to go to Tournament of Death. I want to see that fucking. Well, I mean, I'm hoping no one fucking dies since he almost did. But like,
well, that was what just happened this weekend.
Someone almost died?
No, tournament. Well, CZW has Tournament of Death. GCW has Tournament of Survival.
Oh.
So that was what happened this weekend. So because every match has a different gimmick. So one of them was the glass. But yeah, it was Tournament of Survival, and it was fucking insane. I had family stuff, so I didn't get to watch all of it. I watched part of it and then watched the rest of it Sunday morning. And then they had another show on Sunday also that I'm halfway through. But yeah, the Nick Gage story, we talked about it a bit, and it's crazy. And he is the only active wrestler that they've ever covered on Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And that dude is a superstar. He comes out and the place goes fucking insane.
For as I don't know what, like, clearly him and his girlfriend have been through some things. You can tell from you can tell from early pictures to where they are now. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
I heard he's like a fucking millionaire though.
No, I wouldn't say he's a millionaire.
I heard because of all that MDK shit and the fact that like people want him, that he's now that he's like out of fucking jail, that he's got a lot of money now.
I'm sure he's good because he's one of the top guys in the country. Len and I discussed this a little bit because we were talking. Len had asked me like, what do I think people see in the dude? And a lot of it is charisma, and a lot of it is that they're diehard fans and they know his whole story. He travels. He's GCW champion, so that right there means that he's the top guy there. And they are, I would go on record and say that they are the top independent wrestling company in the country.
So they're like the ECW of 2021.
Yeah, and it's funny because I made that comparison also in a Facebook group that I'm in, because yeah, they do a lot of the deathmatch shit, but they also have much like ECW did, they have different styles. Because you could have watched ECW in the 90s and you would have had Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis, and on the same show you've got like New Jack coming out with a fucking garbage can full of weapons. Now, yeah, you've got crazy shit with light tubes and panes of glass and all kinds of shit, but on the same match you've got like a 6-man scramble match where everybody's just doing flips all over the place with no weapons, none of that shit. So much like ECW, you have that mix of like the different styles, and then you'll have a different match that's more of like a brawler style match where they might use weapons, but they're not going full all out fucking, let me stick skewers in your head. But they're still doing stuff, they're still doing some of the hardcore stuff. Yeah. But it's more like old school hardcore, not the modern deathmatch like light tubes, thumbtacks, let me set you on fire shit. But they do plenty of that too. So it's got something for everybody.
Well, let me ask you this then, John. Did you watch the last one on Jake the Snake?
Yeah, Jake was my dude, so of course I had to watch that shit. I did not know that it was going to be about, like, when I saw that there was like a Jake the Snake episode, because like I think like The Rock posted about it. Shit. Yeah, that's right. There's a Jake.
You're
muted.
Did I mute myself?
You did.
Back?
I think you pulled out. You pulled out. You're fucking spliced and you pulled out.
Don't pull out.
You fucking asshole.
Don't pull out.
The two of you two bald fucks, are both spliced. I can't hear the shit out of you at all, dude. What did you do?
Oh, now, yep, totally gone. The dog did it.
You're going to have to
blame it.
Oh, wait. Here's something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so this is what you're going to have to deal with that, because I don't know what the hell happened to those headphones. But no, what the hell was I saying? Oh,
Jake the Snake.
Thing. Yeah, so I didn't realize it was going to be about his dad. Like, I knew some of that story, but it was, like, way after the fact. Like, I knew that Rockin' Robin was a sibling and whatnot, and I knew that Grizzly Smith was his dad, but I didn't know any of that shit about him being like a fucking pedophile rapist and all that stuff.
I had heard a little bit, but I didn't know the details, so a lot of that stuff was new to me.
That whole episode was new to me, and it was so fucking heavy to watch.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was not. Even some of the episodes that are on some like wild shit are just like fun to watch and like interesting. This was interesting, but it was also like super painful to watch.
Well, as soon as I saw that intro that was like, this episode's going to talk about incest and rape and mental abuse.
Oh yeah,
like, yeah. It was just fuck.
Yeah, that was bad. And once I saw that, I was like, oh shit.
And the fact that they had that thing at the very end was like, if you or someone you know is in this situation, like call this number. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ. Like now, like don't get me wrong, Jake did a lot of dumb and like awful shit in his life to his family, but it now makes sense, and I have a lot more sympathy for it. Like it's like it was inevitable that he was going to go down that path.
Oh yeah, because
he was just struggling, just on his own.
Yeah,
and he's still struggling, I think.
Well, he said he's like, I haven't been Aurelian since I was 13. Like he's just been Jake the Snake. Yeah. Like, he lives like an alter ego for his whole life.
I mean, he's been doing pretty good recently, but he's had his ups and downs.
Oh yeah,
many times.
10 years clean now, which is awesome. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him that he has 10 years clean and he's got his shit together and he's working for AEW right now, and things are on an upswing for the dude. But
yeah, man, but he went through some tough times, and he had Diamond Dallas Page really helping him out. And even with that, it was some real ups and downs. But it's good to see him finally kind of straighten out and stick with it, because they talked about that. What was it? Legends of Wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
The show. And they didn't really get into the detail about it. I watched that thing live, and oh man, it was bad. Like that dude went to pull his dick out at ringside on live pay-per-view.
Not good.
And I'm watching it, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? It was real bad.
That's not Wren moshing in his underwear.
That's bad too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No one needs to see that.
Oh man.
I unfortunately saw it at least a few times.
You're lucky you missed the nude dancing. I've done that God. Too.
Oh Jesus.
And do you have anything that you need to talk to us about? You need to come clean.
I'm all good. I haven't done it in a while. The last time I did it, someone was also moshing naked, and they jumped on my back, and I was like, well, that's the end of
it. That taught you a lesson.
I did not. Yeah, I was like, well, I didn't. I unfortunately can say that has happened.
So you put the dog in the buns?
Fucked around, found out.
Yeah.
Let's see how he feels when somebody else does it. Sweaty wiener on your back.
Yeah. I'm like, oh. All right. Time to put the clothes on and go home and take a shower.
Yeah. One naked guy moshing, everybody laughs. Two naked guys moshing, all of a sudden the party's over.
Yeah, the party is way over.
Like, oh, gotta wrap it up. Done.
This is going way wrong.
You've gone too far this time.
I never need to see that or another Logan Paul / Money Mayweather fight or anything else that we've discussed.
Those two things are equal on my please no list.
Please never again. And honestly, I would have not watched that fight if it wasn't for this conversation we were planning to have, because there just was nothing. There was nothing about that fight that was like, yo, I need to watch this. And meanwhile, I had people that I didn't even expect, and I'm not going to call them out, but to be like, yo, I need to watch this. And I'm like, really? You want to watch this?
I saw a few of those, and I was just like, oh, man. You disappointed me.
Yeah, so I watched the Ocho Cinco fight because there was nothing on TV, and I found the stream, and I was like watching on my phone like while my wife was like watching something on TV, and then I was like, I'll check back in like when someone on Twitter posts like, okay, the fight's starting, I'll check back in, and I watched the first half of the U.S. like soccer team play, and then I went to bed because I was like, I don't care about anything, and like. I made a joke today. I bounced out. Like, I should have stayed watching that soccer match because it was awesome. But at the same time, falling asleep made me not watch the Logan Paul fight live. So it's like, Thanos was right. Like, it was the perfect balance. I balanced the knife. But then I was like, so I was reading all this stuff, and like the more and more I read, so by like 9 o'clock this morning when I was at work, I like had most of the fight like explained to me, and I was like, all right, whatever, I'll watch it. So like I would watch a round and then like do work, and I would watch another round, do work, and I like. And as I got going on, I forgot what round I was in. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, this fight sucks. I'm like, what is going on? So by the time I finished it and it was just over, I was like, oh, shit, that was the 8th round. Like, damn. And I was like, I'm like, there was like maybe 3 parts where I could say, like, okay, that was kind of exciting. And then but for fucking 24 minutes, like, only three areas of that being exciting, like, nah.
Dude, I was editing drums while I was watching this fight, and editing drums was more enthralling than the fight, and that's bad.
Yeah, no, and editing drums is like the most monotonous part of the recording.
It's the fucking worst. It's the worst. And the worst part is, and I don't want to get on a fucking tangent here, but like even the most practiced drummers have this new complex where if it's not perfect, then it's not right. So then you spend hours taking the humanity out of the drums and just make it sound like you programmed it. And in my head, I'm like, I could have just programmed this instead, and we could have cut out the middleman of me fucking setting up a bunch of dumbass microphones and you pretending to play it. Like, what the fuck are we even doing right now? This is stupid. And I blame Fear Factory, and I blame Meshuggah for this. Because those are the 2 bands that really started that super tight production thing back in the 90s, and now I can't get away from it. Everybody seems to think that they need to be, quote unquote, that skilled, and they're just not. They don't practice. They're fucking terrible, and that it goes across the board. It's not just any one single band; it's every single band.
But the funny thing about that is that. Unless you can fucking play that tight live, where you have all the equipment, like all the trigger setups to like, and like basically your drums are electronic at that point anyway. You're not going to be that tight live. So why like fuck? Like I get that you want your recording to sound the best because that's the thing that's going to last the longest. It's going to last way longer than your live stuff. It'll be here like after you're gone. So I get that you want like the best recording possible, but you also want to be like true to your live sound a little bit. So if you are going to be like this fucking mechanical thing, like you better be mechanical live.
But that's the thing. They don't care about that, which is just laughable because there's bands out there, you know who you are, that their recordings are way tighter than they could ever be live.
Oh yeah.
And I know some studio people, I will not mention any names.
It's fine.
that have said to me, sounds better than they have any right to sound.
Yep. I've said it. So that's the thing. So Bottom Feeder, when we did that last record and every other thing that we ever released, they sound good, but they also sound real because I didn't do any time adjustments on the drums. I let Vinny be who Vinny was, and it adds character to the sound because it sounds like a drummer playing. It sounds like a human. It doesn't sound perfect to a click. You know what I mean? Right. And for me, it's more endearing. But then you hear everybody on the internet now, they're just like, yo, did you hear how perfect those drums sound? He's such a beast on the kit. I'm like, no, his editor is a fucking beast on a kit because he edited the shit out of it. I know how to do it.
Yeah, show me a guy who could do all that stuff live. and then talk to me
there
about
are
how
a couple dudes out there that are really good.
Yeah, there's some, but there's a lot of them that fake the funk.
But there are these MIDI packs out that they have like these high-end drummers come in and play different beats, and they don't tie the beats perfectly to a click. So when you pull the beat in, you can actually see what the fluctuation is, and it's just minimal, but it sounds real because it's not. It's like on time, but it's not perfect. These kids these days don't want anything to have any variation. Yeah, and it just sounds like fucking dance music to me.
Yeah, I don't get that.
No, I love dance music.
I know you do, but this sounds like dance music with dumbass heavy guitars on it, tuned down the cue, and know, crown, crown, crown. Yeah, like, could you just write a fucking riff, bro? Just one. Just write something that's memorable. None of this music is memorable. None of it.
Oh.
When I look at like all the shit that comes out right now, there aren't things that are coming out that'll be like Sepultura or Rise, where you can go back to it week after week, year after year, and it still fucking blast your goddamn face off because it has reality built into the music.
Right.
All this shit just is throwaway trash.
Dude, well, I think we talked about this before, when Rick Beato went through, like, the metal chart, and was just like, what the fuck is all this shit? Because it didn't even...
It just sounds like...
It sounded like dance music, like you said.
Yep.
Well, I think that the problem is that a lot of this, we were talking about throwaway, it parallels the dance music industry as well, because everything now is about the single, and it's getting out content as fast as possible, and it's what's cool, like, at the moment, instead of just, like, writing a song for the sake of writing a song the way you want to sound. Like, take a band like Madball. Madball is just going to write Madball forever.
Right.
Whether writing Madball riffs is cool or not right now, Madball is going to write a Madball. Like, their next record, I know exactly what it's going to sound like.
It's going to sound like Madball.
But like, I think you hear a lot of these like young bands, and you hear it goes across all spectrum: punk, hardcore, metal, dance music. They all are churning out what is hot right this second.
Right.
And instead of writing something that's going to have longevity, they're trying to capitalize on, let me write this fucking just super heavy like mosh part, or like, oh, I saw that. X band is getting a lot of popularity, so we need to write an EP that sounds like them,
right?
And they're doing a lot of that stuff. And when you aren't writing something that's true to you, like you can hear that. There's a lot of bands that I'm hearing, and I won't name any of them. No,
I'm not trying to name any bands either.
I've been introduced to a bunch of like smaller bands that have a decent following. That I'm like, I just never checked them out, because I'm starting to become that old person, but like, oh, well, back in my day.
I am that old person.
But I'm listening to some of these new bands, and I can't distinguish like one from the other, and they don't sound like, they all sound like they're trying to write like someone else. Like, there's very few. Like, I take a band like Vane. Vane's new. Like, I'm not too hyped on them, but they're at least doing something that's really original to themselves.
Right.
And that band stands out, and that's why they play with the Deftones and shit like that, because they're doing something, Code Orange, doing something very unique to them, right. And that's why they stand out.
Right. They're taking their influences and actually transforming them into something that they want to, like, how they hear and feel music. They're not just trying to repeat process that somebody else did.
Right. And even if you're not into some of that stuff, you can at least give it respect, because they're actually trying to do something different and not just straight formula shit.
Well, that's my thing is, like, I think if we go back in 5, maybe even as long as 10 years, definitely Code Orange, people are still going to be talking about that band. Whether we three like them or not, like, that band's still going to be getting... People are still going to go back and say, like, oh, man, I Am King was great, or Forever was a great record. They're still going to be listening. Right. Same thing with Vane, because Vane has their thing. But I'm not going to throw any name under the bus, but there's a lot of these bands that are playing that I'm like, I'm not going to even remember that was a band in 5 years.
Right.
And I think it's because they all try to sound like what is cool right this second. And we've been listening to music as long as we have. There's certain sounds that have survived longevity, and we know also the sounds that have been left in 1999.
Right.
For good fucking reason.
Yeah.
No, but when so when we were doing Descent, somebody asked me, because we played a show about a week ago, and they had never actually seen us. They never really listened to us. So like, can you explain the sound of the band? And I was like, well, what you have to imagine is that if a beatdown band listened to Zao, that is what it comes down to for me, because those are the two influences that I brought to the table. So weird, crazy noises, occasional dissonance, and then dumb beatdown riffs. That's literally what it is. And there aren't a lot of bands putting those two things together.
Right.
Not saying that we are going to have longevity or anything like that. Like, no, I don't think anybody's going to go looking back and be like, oh my God, they were so, ahead of the time or whatever. But at least we were doing what it was that we wanted to do at the time that we did it. It wasn't like we were just trying to copy something.
Yeah, you weren't trying to just jump on whatever trend or whatever you heard that were like, yeah, we should do this. Like, you guys were just doing your own thing.
Right, and honestly, if you listen to Bottom Feeder and you listen to Descent, you can hear that I'm in both bands. It's plain to see.
Yeah. Well, that's going to happen no matter what. Anybody that writes music, like, there's a little bit of you that's going to come through there. Because if you listen to some of my old bands and you listen to some of the Billy Club stuff, like, you might be able to pick out certain things and be like, that sounds like something he wrote.
Right.
But that's natural. I mean, that's the way, Kerry King does something post Slayer.
It's going to sound like
which
Slayer.
Supposedly he's got in the works. It's probably going to sound a lot like Slayer.
It's going to sound like shitty Slayer.
That is true, but
because the riffs went to fucking Graveland Hanneman.
Well, yeah. But if they let Gary Holt write anything, but good, let Gary Holt keep it for Exodus instead.
Yeah, I'd much rather see another. I'd much rather have a better Exodus record than the fucking Slayer Inc. or whatever the hell he's gonna call it.
Oh boy.
That's it's time. Kerry King, fucking
Kerry King. It's time.
That ties it all together nicely.
Yeah.
Kerry King, it's time.
Yeah.
Are there any other bands where it's time?
Oh, I mean, you're putting us on the spot to start shitting on people.
I think
I don't mind shitting on Kerry King.
In big bands, like, honestly, I would say, like, Lamb of God, like, all right, it's time for you to turn it down, because, like, I haven't enjoyed. I used to love that band. I haven't enjoyed a record of theirs probably in the last 3 records, because it all sounds exactly the same. Like, they're boring. Like, Killswitch Engage. Like, yeah, I know they just got lumped on that giant Slipknot tour, but, like, that band sucks now. Like, they're just churning out. It's like, oh, let's just rinse and repeat and write the same record that we wrote for the last 10 years, and not good.
See,
I think both of those bands, it's time.
You know what?
I disagree.
You know what band isn't just rinse and repeat? Zao. I know I brought them up already, but their last release that came out a couple weeks ago.
That last record was actually really good.
I haven't heard the last record.
It's so fucking good, though.
I haven't visited Zao in a couple years. Like, I still love Blood and Fire and
Blood and Fire,
Liberated from Hell and whatnot. Like, I love those records. And I have never stopped listening to them. But there's a chunk of Zao records that I skipped over. But someone, maybe it was you, Len, that posted about the record being good, and I went and put it on
Matt
Spotify.
Posted about it.
What was that?
Bennett posted about it.
Yeah, someone did. And I was like, let me give it a whirl. If it sucks, I'll turn it off in one song. And I was like, wow, then all right.
No,
took the guys a little bit to get back to it, but this sounds good.
The last record I loved from them before this one was Funeral of God. And then they did like a couple of things in the middle of that. But for me, obviously, it's Blood and Fire and Liberate. Those are like two just instant, immediate classics.
Yeah.
Like the first time I heard Blood and Fire Brings Rest, I think I literally Road Warrior popped in the fucking record store because like I had heard of Zayo, but I was bringing a Discman, so this is old man territory. I had like a portable Discman, and I would take it to the Princeton Record Exchange and just like test out things. And I put the Zayo record in, and as soon as I fucking hit play, I was like, holy shit, I have to buy this.
See, yeah. I had a similar experience. I forget, I couldn't tell you now for the life of me who tipped me off to it, but somebody told me about Blood and Fire, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And I mean, when did that record come out? What year?
98? 97? I don't know, somewhere back there.
Because I feel like it might have been like the tail end of my days at Tower Records.
Okay.
So if it's 97, then maybe. But somebody had tipped me off to it, and then I actually listened to it, and I was like, whoa, this is wild. And it just blew my mind, and it was just hooked on it.
Blood and Fire was 98. Liberate Te Ex Infernus was 99.
Okay. So it was after my Tower Records days, but I guess, I don't know. I think I was working for Sony, so somebody, maybe a label person or something, told me about it or sent me a copy of it or something.
I had a friend that had it, or he had the first record, All's Failed.
Which is an okay record.
Yeah, but then they were like, oh yeah, remember this band? Like they just put out a new record, it's really good. Couldn't find it anywhere. The only place that had it was like the local Christian bookstore.
Oh god.
and so I had to go into like this local Christian bookstore just to get Blood and Fire. And I was like, and they sold like there was like a bunch of stuff in there. They had like No Innocent Victim and Disciple and Shockwave in there. Like it was like in this weird site. It was listed under punk rock. And then they had like, Amy Grant and shit like that in there.
That's crazy, but I remember, I was working for Sony, so I remember that being a thing. That like Christian bookstores, they had
like all face down. Yeah, they had like the face down records.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was when that little niche started to become a big thing. And they were actually getting numbers and charting and stuff. So, like Christian bookstores and stuff started bringing it in because there was a little bit of money to it. And the labels were trying to get them to bring it in. So it was a big deal. But I wouldn't go into a Christian bookstore to get it because I'd probably just burst into flames.
Yeah. That was hashtag back in the day, baby.
Yeah. Hashtag that place is a bank now.
Well,
crazy.
This has been a good It's Time segment.
Yeah, I was into it.
And speaking of which, before when we were talking about bands and stuff, like there are some tours that It's Time because like I don't hate Trivium, but like
give it up.
It's like Megadeth and Trivium. Oh, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, I thought that tour happened like 10 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. And like,
fucking Megadeth should
give it. It's time for Megadeth.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. It's definitely time for Megadeth. But it was time for Megadeth a long time ago because when I saw them at Yankee Stadium, they were awful. And I'm not talking about, because I know Dave Mustaine had major neck problems and had to have surgery right after that. Their choice of set list was awful.
Yeah, how do you play the Big Four set list, like the fucking concert that everyone has been waiting for since like '87, and you play a dog shit set list?
Dude, how do you? You're going out there with Metallica, Slayer, and Anthrax, and you're putting She-Wolf in the set? Like, get the fuck out of here! Are you kidding me?
That's no situational awareness. You gotta know that you gotta bring the A game for that.
Yeah,
everybody
bring
is bringing the hits.
Bring
the
me
fucking hits.
The Conjuring. Bring me Devil's Island. Just bring me like Peace Cells, So Far So Good, Rust in Peace. that focus on that. But no, let's open with Trust and then do She-Wolf and there's other bullshit. Like, ugh. It's like, okay, time for a piss break. It was so bad, and everybody else, even Metallica, who I had made fun of many times because I've seen them with some terrible sets. Because I think I told the story. We saw them in Newark one time, and afterwards, my brother was out in the street screaming, "Yo, I just got robbed by 4 white guys in Newark." Because it was that bad. But then Big Four, Metallica even came correct. Did Orion. I was fucking loving it. But Megadeth, they didn't get the memo. But yeah, it's definitely time for Megadeth.
In time.
Well, it's bad.
Gentlemen, it's been a fun time.
Yeah, it was a fun short episode.
Yeah, like
normally it's like 3 hours later.
I was gonna say we got like 2 hours left to go.
Yeah, we're keeping this one short.
Yeah, 2 hours.
This is gonna be a repetitive theme. We're gonna have some It's Time segments, and we're gonna keep them short.
I guess I'll just talk to myself for like another 2 hours.
Yeah, unless you want to film me sleeping.
You and Pedro.
You'll finally get to see the nakedness. I'll get naked for that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Good thing the lights will be out.
I'll pass.
On that note, it's time.
it's now it's definitely time. After that threat.
I'm gonna make a fake song up, like steal something, and I'm just gonna get "It's Time" going over it, but like Bruce Buffer just yelling it over and over again. That's the fucking lyrics.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be the intro to the fucking song.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be fantastic.
No, I'm gonna do it.
Let's do it.
Happen.
That'll be great.
All right, gentlemen.
Ring us out, Gary.
Yeah. Until next time, we're the Upgrade. Gary Muttley, Len Carmichael, the amazing John Wren. TheUpgradePodcast.net for links, whatever, social media, whatever. Earthlink, GeoCities, etc.
GeoCities, Jesus Christ.
I haven't used that joke in a while, so let's get it back in.
Find us on the AOL chat room.
It's got a link to our Friendster as well.
Wait,
is Friendster the one that's back now?
No, I think MySpace is back. Maybe Friendster is back too. I don't know.
Yeah, find the link to our OnlyFans on there.
Exclusive pictures of John Wren moshing in the
nude.
Don't you guys said there were pictures of John Wren sleeping? I want my money back.
They're gonna donate money to make sure that we never put it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll send you $10 a month for you to not post those pictures. Oh, boy.
I'll see you two bald bastards later.
I'm out.
Later, guys.
Later.
What hood is this? It's the Upgrade. Not Crime Faces. Sorry to disappoint you.
But if Crime Faces wants to come on and talk, he's more than welcome.
Oh, dude, they could come on all day. All day. And I would be totally fine if Crime Faces had a 24-hour feed. Like, just give me that shit all day.
Yo, I'm going to tell you right now. The original, when I first found Crime Faces, there was like 100 of those videos on his IG. Like, they were just piled up. But as more and more people found it, more and more people were reporting it, which
more
means
and more people started hating.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know, like, now he can't post without it getting pulled down.
We're not closed, we hating.
Exactly.
Oh, God. See, that's why we can't have nice things.
So we got John Wren on again.
Hi, John.
Yeah. Coming live and direct from my fucking phone. Some asshole hit a telephone pole and knocked my goddamn FiOS out.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Verizon's like, yeah, we'll be done by 10 o'clock tomorrow. Sure, it'll be like 10 p.m. and I might have my internet back.
I will say FiOS is usually good like that.
Yeah.
When I lived in Jersey years ago, my shit got taken out by a fucking power surge from a lightning strike, and that was on like Saturday night. So I didn't expect them to fix it on Sunday, but like Monday morning, like 9:30 a.m., there they were. They replaced the box, and the dude was out of there by like 9:45.
Well,
so,
here's the hoping.
Yeah. So hopefully,
I'm going to go to work and not be bothered by it. My wife works from home, and so that's going to suck for her. So
yeah, that's the other. They got to move fast because so many people are still working from home. And then, some people are just saying they're working from home, and they're like, motherfucker, I need my Netflix.
My Pornhub. My
Pornhub is out. My Disney Plus.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's the Disney Plus for the kids. It's totally not about my Pornhub. No. Not at all.
So this is what? Segment 2 of It's Time!
And you know what, though? There's really only one It's Time that happened this weekend.
There really is. And that's Tiiime and Maya.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's been time, Tiiime and Maya.
But you know what, though? For him, I can't hate. The dude's like 44? He had that run up to Anderson Silva. That was his best chance on doing anything with his career. And then after that, like, he had a hot streak for a while. He was his last couple fights, though, but you're 44. You made
he's actually 43. He turns 44 in November.
Whatever.
Big difference.
Well, what I will say is...
because, some internet guy is going to be like, John Wren is wrong. He's not 44. What an asshole.
All right. What I got to say about Tiiime and Maya is that typically when he's losing, it's not like he's losing, like, ugly losing, like getting his face punched off. It's just like he just can't physically keep up. Right. And if he can't take you down, he just doesn't have the hand skills to put you away on the feet. So it's just like I've reached the point where I don't look forward to watching him fight because I'm waiting for his face to get punched off.
Yeah, and fighting Muhammad was not going to be the guy that was going to do that. I knew that it was going to be because it's hard to get Tiiime Maya out of there. I don't even know the last time he was finished, but I knew it was gonna be 3 rounds, and if Maya didn't snatch an arm or some shit, like it was gonna be bad. And that fight it didn't do anything for Muhammad's stock. Like, yeah, sure, he beat a name, but that guy's already on the rise. He didn't really need Tiiime Maya's name underneath of him.
Well, the last person that finished Maya was last March, and it was Gilbert Burns.
Yeah,
that's
a lot of people,
right? Like, that's not a big, like, to me, that's not a big deal to lose to Gilbert Burns. That dude is, top 1 or 2 in that fucking division.
Yeah, but before that, I'm scrolling through, like, the last person to finish him was in, like, 2009.
Right. Otherwise, it's decisions. Yeah, Marquardt was the last person.
Marquardt knocked him out at UFC 102.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, again, I'm not, like, sitting here, like, waiting for somebody to... I don't want to watch him just get murdered.
Yeah, he's not going to get murdered, but he's just not going to...
But it will eventually happen because he will slow down to the point where even the middling guys can actually put hands on him. Losing 3 in a row to Woodley, Covington, and Usman is really not, like, for me... I don't look at that and go, oh, man, you don't have it. That means that you're considered one of the best guys, and you didn't make it that night, but you made it, a grand total of 13 rounds with those 3 killers. It's, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And even getting knocked out by Gilbert Burns, hey, that dude knocks everybody out. It's okay. But Bilal Muhammad, he's a good fighter. I got no issue with him, but it was obvious that he just doesn't have the power that is required to stick around right now.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be.
Well, I think
a hot fight.
I think if anything happened, though, I think that was his last fight on his contract.
It was.
So that's
Right.
I doubt that. I mean, he was calling out Nate Diaz. He wants that to be his like final fight, and I'm like, I mean, maybe he earns a farewell fight, like an actual farewell fight, like a high profile farewell fight. But like, I don't want to see that fight. And Nate Diaz doesn't even want that fight.
No, I'm sure he doesn't.
What the fuck? Because
No.
Nate Diaz said in the post-fight press conference, like, if you're not fighting the best guys, he's like, what the hell is the point? And Damian Maia had to have dropped out of the top 10 after this weekend, so Nate's going to have no... Like, does Nate deserve a top 10 guy? Probably not, but his popularity says he does, and Damian Maia is not going to be the guy that moves the needle for him.
Yeah. And Muhammad, if you look at his record, he's 19-3, but 14 of them were decision. Like, come on, dude.
Well, all right, let's quick run through the rest of this card, and then we can get back to the rest of this BS. But honestly, I skimmed through most of this because I didn't catch it live, and the only way I'm going to sit through this many decisions is live.
I agree, because I skipped the prelims completely because I started to watch them, and then I saw that it was all... Because I was low on time, so I was like, okay, what do I need to watch in full? And then I saw the prelims was decision, and I was just like, oh no, I'm not watching this.
I actually had to go to Cambridge, Maryland. I got up at 2:00 in the morning to go to Cambridge, Maryland, for a friend was doing a race. So I was like napping. I like slept right through the beginning of the prelims, like woke up to watch JoJo Caldwater's fight. Fell asleep after that, and then woke up to catch like the main card. So like I'm luckily for me, and when I went back and was like, did I miss anything? I was like, well, no,
not really.
Even the JoJo Calderwood fight wasn't. It was a decent fight, but like I could sum it up for you, like, oh, it was gritty, and Lauren Murphy clearly won the fight. That's about all you need to know, because it wasn't. Right. There was no like, oh man, got to turn on the second round. Because the second round, it was like a barn burner section or anything like that. It was just two girls that went in and fucking threw down, and that was it. It was the main card is basically the only thing worth. If I was going to tell someone to go back and watch the thing, I was like, just skip to the main card.
Right. And on the early prelims, there was one knockout, and it was in 7 seconds. But
wow!
And then he knocked his knee out.
Yeah, then he blew his knee out jumping off the cage.
Really?
Yeah. Terrence McKinney came in and within 7 seconds with basically a real hard jab and a straight right, I think it was, put Matt Frivola right down and then just pounded him out. And
McKinney was a last-minute replacement, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yo, he's got a crazy story, too. Apparently, he was, like, arrested or some shit, like, not too long ago. He was, like, tased twice by the police and, like, died once or something like that.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was some shit on the internet. I didn't, like, jump into it too much because I was, like, I read it. But, like, yeah, something – he had a run – I don't know if he had a run-in with the cop. I don't know if it was, like, bad information and the cops, like, pulled him off because he was a, he fit a description, as cops like to say. But or if it was whatever, but apparently he was like tased and like died like once, like while it happened or some shit like that. But he like still showed up to make this fight.
Well, at least he could take a beating.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But his story is just like crazy. Like, so that happens, takes the fight on short notice, knocks that dude out in 3 seconds, jumps off the cage, and blows his knee out. Like,
oh my god!
No, it was I'm looking it up. Several years ago that happened.
Wow!
I thought it was like within the last couple of months.
No, yeah, it was 2014 because I just pulled it up too. After, well, here's the sentence that you need to know. Okay, after mixing alcohol with acid and mushrooms, police confronted McKinney, who resisted. And here's a quote. You ready? I ended up seeing demons. I was very incoherent. I was pretty much out of my mind. When they tried to engage me,
he's like, yeah, I deserve to get fucking tased.
When they tried to engage me, I started going crazy, so they had to tase me like multiple tases. I ate it like it was nothing. They finally got me down and was able to restrain me and get me to the hospital, and that's where I ended up dying twice. I didn't even know I died.
Christ.
That was the scariest part. It just made me settle down and think, is this what I want, or do I want something better?
Oh, well, at least he learned his lesson. Jesus.
Yeah, and then blew his dumbass knee out jumping off the fucking cage. Like, literally, Gary, if you go look it up, he lays out for volley, he runs over, and he does the thing where you jump and you push yourself up on the cage, and you're, like, hanging over the edge, and then he just falls back, and as he hits the fucking canvas with his feet, his knee pops, and you see it, and he just goes down, and he's just laying there.
You can Instagram it. It's like an Instagram.
Oh, my God.
It's not even a minute long. Like I think the clip that they keep showing is like 27 seconds.
Yeah. And his knee is done. So now it's like you just won your promotional debut in stunning fashion, and you probably just put yourself on the fucking shelf for 18 months.
Let me blow my shit out.
He said it felt at the press conference. He said it was stiff. He said, and he was walking around on it, so it must not be that bad. But it was bad enough that he dropped. I mean, if tomorrow the reports come out that he like has a fucking ACL tear or some shit like that, I won't be too surprised.
He's playing poker, bro. I mean, he's got to make it look like it wasn't that big a deal. But when you go down like that, I'm not believing you. I'm not believing you. I believe what my eyes see.
Well.
So they're talking Lauren Murphy versus fucking Shevchenko, and that just seems like the biggest waste of my time.
What?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a showcase fight for Shevchenko. Like, I really like JoJo Calderwood. Like, I like her attitude. I think she's a decent fighter, and she was like knocking on the door until she took that fight in Abu Dhabi. But my thing is, like, she's not beating Shevchenko. There's nothing I've seen from either of those two girls that doesn't say they don't get run through.
At all.
Yeah.
At all. Like, no, I like Lauren Murphy. I like Lauren Murphy. I don't have an issue with her. And I like Joanne Calderwood. Like, JoJo's cool. But neither one of them have the skills or tenacity it would take to try and take Shevchenko out. It wouldn't even be entertaining. Basically, it's like leading a lamb to slaughter, in my opinion.
My only fight right now I see for Shevchenko that seems interesting to me is she either goes back up and fights Nunez for the third time, or if they can convince Weili Zhang to like go up and fight her. That's about it. They're about the only two fights I can give a shit about right now.
Yep, I feel you. I can get behind that.
And by the way, I was making noise because in that short time frame, I watched all 7 seconds of that fight with Terrence McKinney, and then I watched him fucking blow his knee out.
And you see what I mean about there's no way with that kind of reaction where you immediately go down.
Oh,
like
the face he made was like,
No, he was like, oh, shit. Like, he made the, like, oh, shit face. Like, I did something bad.
And he's holding his knee. It's like, oh, you idiots. You just got a 7-second knockout. Literally, like, blink and you miss it. And then you do that stupid shit off the cage and fuck your shit up.
Yep. Insane.
After getting, like, a last-minute thing, because I was just looking at it. Yeah, Frank Camacho pulled out of the fight 4 days before because he was in a car accident. So, like, you couldn't get more lucky than this. So, like, why are you pressing your luck jumping off the fucking cage? You survived being tased twice after tripping balls, and then you get a 7-second knockout, but that's not good enough for you. Keep pushing.
So.
Schmuck.
I do have another It's Time, and I completely forgot about it until right now.
What's that?
Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. Al Guiney, the referee.
Oh,
it's time. It is time to pull that guy. He's done.
I saw that, and I was like, yo, whose grandfather is reffing this match?
Yo, Dana White called him the Arizona Mazzagatti.
Oh, man. Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, whoa, what happened here?
Dude, his arm was in California.
Yeah.
Fighting in Arizona.
Oh, well, that was a whole other thing. But just talking about the ref, that made me think.
No, but that's what I'm talking about. The ref should have seen that and stopped it.
Oh, well, yeah.
So fucking blind.
Yeah.
He didn't even see. We all could see that my man's arm was bent backwards.
Yeah. It was one of those, like, when it happened, I was like, I'm going to throw up if they don't stop this play.
Oh, yeah. It was.
Props to Jamal Hill for not tapping, though. That's tough as shit. Like,
yeah, he was ready to keep going. That shit was flopping around, and he's just like.
For him. I was about to cry for him, and that dude didn't tap. Good on him, but that referee fucking sucks.
It wasn't broken.
Yeah.
Which was the biggest shock to me. But back to the ref thing for a second, it made me think of when Walter and I used to go to indie wrestling shows at the Elks Lodge. They had a dude, Billy Caputo, who was a referee, who was fucking old dude, and we used to joke around that they kept him in a freezer in the back. Because they would alternate refs. Like, he'd ref one match, then the other guy would do the next match, and they'd go back and forth. And we were like, yo, they got to keep Billy in a freezer in the back. Because there's no way, like, that dude is surviving. Especially in the Elks Lodge, because it would get hot. Like, they got to keep him in the cooler. No way. And that was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this ref. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Whose grandfather is owed a favor.
That's my other it's time from this thing.
It's definitely time for him.
You got to pull that guy. He can't.
Has he worked UFC cards before? Because I've never seen him before.
He's from Arizona only.
Yeah. Well, apparently the athletic commission in Arizona has some weird things, but I'll get to that later with the main event.
Okay.
I don't know if you know what I'm getting at all, but we'll get there.
I actually don't, but I'll find out when we get there.
Okay.
So we already talked about Damian Maia and Bilal Muhammad. We don't need to dig into that any further.
Yeah.
Now Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz.
I mean, my hate for the Diaz brothers is well known.
So I don't hate Nate Diaz, and I don't even hate Nick Diaz.
I don't hate him to the level that I hate Nick. But I really strongly dislike both of them.
My thing is, he forced this to be a 5-round fight because he knows that his cardio is so high in comparison to everybody else that everybody else is going to tire out. And even if he's beaten up, he's going to be able to come on strong in the 5th round.
Right. But here's question number one. Why was that a 5-round fight?
Because that's what Nate wanted, and UFC gives him whatever he wants at this point.
Because it's not a title fight, it's not a main event. There's no reason why it should have been 5.
No, it's the feature bout.
No, yeah, basically it was they really want to pump Leon Edwards because I think they want Leon Edwards to fight the winner of Usman and Covington, and getting Nate Diaz in there was probably the safest fight for Leon Edwards, right. and it gave him a name. And when Nate was like, I won 5 rounds, they were like, fine, fuck it, we'll give you 5 rounds. And all it allowed for this was Leon Edwards to beat him up for 2 more rounds. Well, 2 rounds and 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been kind of painful as a 3-round, but like the 5 rounds is like, oh, come on.
But I will say this: if that's only a 3-round fight, we don't get that exciting last minute of the last round because that was like.
I mean, that's true. That last minute was kind of crazy,
fucking wild. And if Nate Diaz cared enough about actually finishing a fighter, as he does about clowning, he could have finished that fight like seconds after he stung him with that fucking left.
I have to agree. He was too busy trying to put on a show. Like, just finish the goddamn thing.
Like, gave him the finger and then he like stopped, and I was like kind of like screaming at my TV. It was like, what are you doing? Like, you have him. You have him.
He's done.
This would be such a great comeback. Like,
yeah, if he had followed through on it, he might have won that fight.
Leon Edwards' eyes were doing the fucking when you pull the fucking lever.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw a bird flying over his head.
Yeah, I mean, he was legitimately done by that punch.
Yeah,
all it would have taken was one more, and it would have sat him down, and he could have pounded him right out. It would have been over, and I don't care because Nate lost that fucking fight, even though in the hearts of the fans that actually liked Nate Diaz, he won that fight.
Which there were a lot.
Right.
That whole place was lit up for him.
Because Stockton rules are, if this fight goes on forever, who's going to win? And clearly, he would win that fight if it was 6, 7, 8 rounds. There's no doubt in my mind that Nate wins that fight the longer it goes. But that's not the fucking rules, man. The rules of this fight are 5 fucking rounds, and you lost 4 of them. You lost the fight.
Yeah, that was his only chance at winning that fight. That last minute, if he had followed through on it, there's a good chance that he could have won that fight. Not that I want him to win that fight, but
I mean,
it could have happened. It was within reach. But he was too busy dancing around and being a fucking clown.
The thing with Nate and Nick, for that matter, is, as my boy Ryan said, their faces are made of paper mache. So seeing them bleed is not really like a telltale sign that you really put a beating on them.
Right. It's pretty standard.
It's not a fair assessment. And honestly, Leon outstruck him. He outworked him the whole fight. But it literally was 2 elbows that caused those, like, the actual visible damage. Otherwise, like, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's irritating to watch someone throw away a win, and that goes for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because coming out of that fight, nobody's gonna. You got to pump the brakes on Leon Edwards, because nobody wants to see him go fight the winner of Usman or Covington, because you don't believe that he can last 5 rounds with them. Because if you're gonna get lax with Nate Diaz and get rocked by a dude that doesn't really have rock you power, Covington's gonna knock you out, and Usman is definitely going to knock you out.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing is Edwards is there with his resume now. You have to get in that fight. Like I know that if someone comes out and fucking like does something crazy, like Gilbert Burns comes out and like starts with someone, maybe they give him the rematch with Usman or whatever. But with right now, like Leon Edwards has to be the guy that gets the winner of that fight.
Yeah, it'll happen. It's just not going to be.
And if he gets fucking obliterated, he gets obliterated.
Well, that's probably what's going to happen. But it's certainly not going. That would be the best case scenario, because it's probably not going to be an exciting fight otherwise. Because if those guys go the distance somehow, it's not going to be very good.
The only other fight you can give Leon Edwards between now and the title fight is he finally fights Masvidal. But beating Masvidal at this point doesn't mean title shot. And if Masvidal knocks him out, his fucking stock drops way. Like you're taking it's a high risk, low reward to fight Masvidal. Unless you're fighting for money.
I know you can't do MMA math. MMA math is not like a real thing.
No, certainly not.
But the beating that Masvidal put on Diaz, and then the beating that Edwards put on Diaz, but
I think it's a bad. I think it's a bad. I think Masvidal would be a bad matchup for Leon Edwards.
That's where I'm going with this. Like that's not the way to go with this if you want to keep Leon Edwards in the hunt.
Yeah, if you want to keep him looking good.
No, I honestly say he has to get the next title shot, and if in the off chance he beats either Covington or Usman, which I don't think he can beat either of them, if he beats one of them and becomes the champion, then you can start throwing him to the wolves and having him fight Gilbert Burns or Masvidal or whoever. Like you can
Wonder Boy.
They're dudes. Those are dudes that can all beat him. Wonder Boy actually wouldn't be a bad matchup either, but he's got to fight. So
right.
Like I don't. But my thing is like if Edward, if you're going to finally reward him for going on this like streak of like, because he's, what does he want? Like the last like 7 in a row or some shit?
I think it's 8 now.
Okay. So he's got 8 in a row. So, okay. That's to me is enough for him to get the title shot. So if you're not going to risk him and you're going to say, fine, sure, we'll give Usman a new challenger. Well, no, he already fought Usman, so there'll be a rematch. I think the last fight that he lost was Usman, right?
That was the last one he lost to. But my problem with his win streak is that he really hasn't beaten anybody that makes me go, huh, I think he could beat Usman right now. Because Waters, Tumanov, Luque, Barberena, Sabata, Cerrone, Nelson, RDA. That's like the only one. Because I'm not going to count Nate Diaz. Because Nate A hadn't fought since 2019, and B, he beat the brakes off of him for 24 minutes.
Yeah.
So, that win streak, it's great to win that many fights in a row, really, especially at 170. I'm not trying to talk down on winning that many fights, but the toughness of that schedule ain't very high.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. Because I think he's just going to get the next fight afterwards. I think they're going to give it to him, unless they decide to book him against like a Gilbert Burns or even Wonder Boy, who's Wonder Boy fighting? He's got like a. Is it Burns that he's fighting? No, he's fighting Gastelum, right?
Yeah.
Who the hell is Wonder Boy? Yeah. So maybe make the Burns fight. I don't know.
And by the way, just to make a point about that streak, the majority of those fights were decisions, which win's a win, but
he's not a finisher.
You're not going to get people excited.
Yeah.
With regular decisions, like you gotta, okay, he's got a couple in there. He's got a submission and a TKO, but overall, most of them were decisions. And it's like, come on, you got to finish these fights because that's what's going to get people excited, and that's what's going to get people interested in a high level fight.
Yep, you got to get these people out of there.
Yeah, because especially, in general, reflecting on this card, and we've only got 2 more fights to talk about, but almost this whole card was decisions, and I believe they said, it is the longest UFC event with 3 hours, 19 minutes, 32 seconds of fight time.
It's too much fight time.
That's not going to bring people. That's not going to draw people. People don't want to see. Every now and again you'll have your fight that'll go the distance that's exciting.
Right. That's where I was about to go. If it was all decision barn burners, then it's fine.
That's what I mean. You get some of those where the shit's over and you're like, wow, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But the vast majority of them, you're just like, by round 3, you're just like, oh, would you finish this damn thing already? Especially if it's a 5-rounder. Like, those last 2 are torture.
Dude,
for the most part. Not every fight, but the vast majority.
If Nate hadn't turned it around right in that last minute, it would fall right into that same exact category. But the come up at the end is what saved that fight from just being another boring, long-ass decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, by the second round, you just knew how that fight was going to play out. I was like, man, this is going to be 3 more rounds of this shit.
Yep.
Unless Nate got cut and they called the fight because of a cut.
Yeah, well, you see that sometimes with the lighter weight classes, but when you get to the heavyweights, it's like if they get far enough in, it's like it's shot.
Yeah, most heavyweights, if you get past the middle of the second round, know you're in for another round and a half to
it's just going to be a gas
3.5 of just gassing.
Unless it was prime Cain Velasquez. He's like the only guy. That dude that dude could fight 5 rounds.
Stipe can fight 5 rounds. He's not bad.
Yeah, you got a few guys, but overall, the vast majority, if you get those heavyweights that go late into the fight, it's just going to be a gas fest, and they're going to be in slow motion, and it's just going to be painful.
Secondary exception, Derek Lewis will still knock your ass out at the last second of the last round and make it exciting.
Yeah.
But
especially if his balls is hot.
Oh, my balls is hot. So exciting was Brandon Moreno beating the shit out of Davis.
Highlight of the card.
Yeah, that's not even the word that was a fantastic fight.
Yeah.
And a fantastic moment, because for those of you who don't know, he is the first Mexican champion in UFC history.
Right, not just Mexican heritage, actual Mexican.
Yeah,
and
he has an insane story too. He was the lowest seed on his Ultimate Fighter season. He was cut from the promotion like not too long ago. Like went out to like LFA, like won their belt, came back, took that last title fight on short notice, went to a majority draw, like almost won the fight, and then came and like completely fixed every error he had in that last fight and just dominated.
Literally, that was the closest to a perfect fight I have ever seen someone put on someone as dangerous as Figueiredo.
Yeah.
Because for the people who aren't necessarily as deep in the sauce as any of the three of us, Figueiredo is one of the few small guys who can put you to sleep with one shot. And Moreno made that look easy.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't struggle at any point in that fight.
Yeah, a lot of those smaller guys are fast. So you get the speed, but you don't always necessarily get that power.
Right.
He's also got a guillotine that'll rip your head off.
Yep.
And Paul Felder actually made a comment and said that his guillotine's so tight that you panic like as soon as he gets it on you, and you tap like before you're really even being choked because it's just so good. And that was probably Moreno had one semi. I wouldn't even call it scary moment where Figueiredo was going for the guillotine, but he got out of it. He defended it right and he got out of it. Yeah. Other than that, it was flawless.
Yeah, but I would even consider that flawless because like you're going to end up in bad situations. It's how you work out of them, and he worked right out of it quickly.
Yeah.
And they fought once before.
Yeah, it was an immediate rematch.
And that was a crazy. I forgot about this, but that was the one that had the low blow, and that low blow ended up factoring heavily into the score.
Yeah,
because they went to a decision, and they got fight of the night for that.
Yeah, that fight was amazing.
That fight
was awesome.
Great fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight, but I forgot about the low blow and how much of a game changer that was for that fight.
But yeah, I mean, Moreno came out and he definitely took everything that he learned from that first fight and put it into use right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, that jab was like a piston, bro.
Yeah, I mean that was a great fight, and like I said, it was a great fight and then a great moment because he won, and he was just walking around in the cage like it didn't even hit him yet. Like it was just, he was just like dumbfounded, and then you could see it like finally sink in, and he was like, "Holy shit,
I'm the fucking champ, bro!"
Yeah.
And they already got a fucking Moreno mural up on the fucking wall
in Tijuana. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
They painted that shit like that night.
That was the other thing. You talk about the crowd. We were talking before about the crowd being into Diaz. The crowd was
all
100% behind Moreno. They were all about that dude. And as soon as he won, the roof blew right off of that place.
Oh, yeah.
And once he started talking, they went crazy all over again.
I would argue that he was actually more of the main event. Not that, people weren't there to see Israel, but, there was a large faction of people that came for Diaz and Moreno.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're in Arizona, so not that surprising.
My thing is, you could tell that almost immediately watching the pay-per-view. You guys said you didn't watch it live. I was watching it live. You could tell like the air was out of the room when Izzy came out. Like people were stoked on it, and people were like excited to see him fight. And there was moments in the fight where people cheered and stuff like that. But like at no point did they get like loud like they did for those two fights in particular. It's almost like, I mean, Israel is the biggest star on the card. Well, maybe Nate Diaz might be the biggest fan favorite, but Israel's the biggest star on the card, so you can't have him not headline. But like, I wonder if the UFC looks back and says, "Fuck, man, we should have made that up. We should have reversed that."
It's like that.
But then does Figueiredo perform better in that spot. Like, as you change things.
I don't think that matters to someone like him. I think he would fight as a killer if he was the first fight of the card.
I agree.
So one thing I will say, and maybe this is maybe it's almost time. Figueiredo did not weigh in until he had 40 seconds left to get his weight on the scale, and he just barely made weight for this fight. I think it might be time for him to go up.
Yeah. No, and he's fucking shredded, so he doesn't have much to lose. Like, he would have to give up muscle mass, which I'm sure he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't want to do.
And I don't know at the 125 and 135 like how much 10 pounds is gonna how much like what are they cutting from when they're weighing 135 and stuff like that? And is he just really bad at dieting when he's getting, like, I don't know what his deal is, but I mean, he's fucking shredded, so he doesn't have much to lose, like, in terms of like body fat or anything like that. So like, he would literally have to give up muscle, and I don't know that he wants to do that. Like, I think he enjoys being as big as he does.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe eating some more protein and putting on a little bit more weight might actually serve him better and going to 135. He's going to be exponentially. He'll be faster. Don't get me wrong. The 135 guys are also as fast as lightning too, but he'll be faster, and he's definitely got the power to hang with those guys.
Right. Think about it this way.
He probably has the power to hang with 145ers.
I would argue that he probably walks at like 142. He wouldn't even have to really cut to fight at 135.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you got to figure he's stressing himself with that weight cut.
Yep.
And you're right. If he could easily go up and
he had to weigh in behind the screen because he had to get fully naked to make the weight.
Right.
With 40 seconds left. Otherwise, he's going to get disqualified.
I mean. He's really sweating that weight cut, and like John said, there's not much more that he can cut. Unless he starts going into muscle mass, which why is he going to do that? Because part of his whole thing is that he's got the power. You cut that muscle mass, you're taking away some of your power.
If he's weighing 142 to 145 pre-fight, like on fight night or whatever, it probably would be in his best interest to go to get his normal body weight up 5 more pounds, add 5 more pounds of mass, so that he has the strength and fight at 135. He'd be cutting 15 pounds, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. Like, people do bigger cuts than that, especially like the guys at 205. They cut like fucking 35 pounds.
Yeah.
But you're talking about fat boys at that point.
Yeah. But well, even John Jones. John Jones says he used to walk at like 235.
Right, but you see him and he looked like a fat boy because he would have a belly.
Yeah.
I mean, not fat like me. I'm not trying to call him like an actual fat dude, but I'm just saying, like, he's not the shredded dude that shows up on the scale.
No, but I would bet that come fight night he's got to be 220, 225 after he gets all his water back and stuff like that. But still, that's 20 pounds that would be cut. So I mean, Figueiredo getting his actual body weight to 150 and cutting down to 135 wouldn't be too much of a stretch.
Right.
See, I'm thinking about, Anthony Johnson cutting to 170, and he's walking around at like 245.
God.
Dude, you're losing a small person.
Yeah. Like,
or when like Quentin would fucking be wandering around at like 250 and cut to 205.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thyroid. He would always say it was his thyroid. I'm like,
right.
No, it's called chicken, bro. And fucking candy and ice cream. That's what it's fucking called. Called hamburgers.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Oh man.
I mean, I know these things because I am these things. Like, I'm not trying to talk bad about him. I'm just saying. But yeah, that fight was a great fight. But we know what was not a great fight? Adesanya versus Vettori. That was fucking boring. Exactly.
Yeah, and by like round, it was another one. By round 2, I'm like, well, this is
how it's going.
Unless Izzy randomly catches him. But then again, I was also watching, and this is a thing about this. It drives me crazy about Israel Adesanya. And here I am, like, not a fucking professional athlete.
he does what Anderson did when Weidman caught him. He constantly drops his hands and sticks his and dips back, and his chin is wide open. I'm like, you get someone like fucking Bobby Knuckles steps in there and actually catches him with one of them, like that's lights out. Like, and Vettori just never caught him on that, but he was getting close. And I'm like, Vettori's gonna fight this shitty fight, not win any rounds, and he's gonna. And I was like, he might catch him, and I was like, wouldn't that be some shit?
So, looking back at the first Whitaker fight, when he knocked out Whitaker was about to hit him too.
Yeah.
And Adesanya just got to the punch sooner. I would like to think that Adesanya is technically the better fighter between the two, but I'm going to go on record right now and say that I would not be surprised if Whitaker knocks him the fuck out.
No, I wouldn't bet on that fight. Like, I don't care what the betting lines are. I'm not taking a bet on that fight because Whitaker can easily knock him out.
Right.
But the Vettori fight, what's one thing I do want to comment about that? It's like, whatever, he got beat. He lost all 5 rounds. It's like there's no dispute. There's no disputing that. Marvin Vettori is a fucking crazy person.
Yeah, because
he was telling Adesanya in the cage, I won that one, bro. And Adesanya's like, what the fuck are you talking about? and he kept saying, he's like, I won it. And like, Adesanya had a point in the post-fight press conference. He's like, that dude needs to accept his loss. He's like, I lost the end. He's like, I had people in my camp that were telling me I won, and he's like, no, I lost that fight. I got to learn from that fight. I got to find out where my mistakes were, because if I say that I won that fight, I'm not changing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Vettori needs to look in his thing and say, Adesanya beat me twice. He's the better fighter. Yeah. But what can I do to close that gap? But Marvin Vettori is a crazy person and thinks he's 2-0 against. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what fight are you watching?
Bro,
I don't know what he was seeing.
I watched that fight intently because I wanted to see what was going to really happen. And even though it was boring, I watched every dying second of that fight. Oh, God. And at no point did I think that Vettori even won a singular round, let alone him thinking it was close enough to be his fight. Just completely ridiculous. And I saw some people on the internet, on like Twitter, trying to say that fight was 3 rounds to 2 for Adesanya, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm glad that none of you are judges, because you don't know what the fuck you're looking at.
God.
Yeah, because my thing, he got some takedowns, but
did nothing with them.
The bigger story of those takedowns was, he did nothing, and Adesanya got back up relatively quickly
and reversed twice.
Yeah, and whenever he now Adesanya has no offensive ground game like whatsoever. He's a completely defensive fighter when he's on the ground.
Right.
But he stalled. He stopped the attack. He didn't take almost any damage on the ground. And as the fight got longer and longer, he got better and better at stuffing the takedowns. Like he only adapted and got better with the fight. Like that's one I'll say that about Adesanya to his credit is he adapted as the fight went on. Vettori didn't at all.
Yep. There was no change of game plan. And how about checking a kick?
Yeah, just
one. Just check it once. Like, I'm not even a fighter, but I'm telling you right now, if I saw it coming, I would start checking it.
Right.
Like, at some point, I'd probably get hit with the first 4, but then I'd be like, oh, now I see what that is. Check. Boom. Check. All right, I got you, bro. You're going to kick me in the leg. And Vittori's just like, nah, I'm going to plod forward with this fucking ham hock, and you can just keep kicking me in it, and it's fine. Yeah. And this idiot says he's going out running that night. He's like, I got to go out for a run. Like, I saw like a report that Vettori is like, he's like, I'm going right back to training. Nothing was wrong with my fight. I'm going out for a 5-mile run tonight.
Nothing was wrong with my fight.
Like, bro, you should not be running on that fucking leg.
As someone that's both been kicked in the legs previously, like when I trained Muay Thai, and as a runner, nah, he's not running 5 miles. Like, I'm telling you. He might run like 50 feet out the front door and be like, well, this is a bad idea.
I'm going to tell you right now. Yesterday, I was out somewhere, and my son was getting wild, and he kicked me in the leg, and I was like, all right, I'm done. And he's 6.
Yeah. To be fair, he's like already 6'2", but
whatever.
They grow fast. Oh, and by the way, since I mentioned it before about weird stuff with the athletic commission and stuff with the main event, people went nuts because who reffed this fight? Mike Beltran with the big stupid fucking beard braids, and it turns out the athletic commission made him tuck them shits in.
Really?
So people were like, "Oh my God, did he cut the braids?" And he's like, "Nah, I had to tuck them into my shirt." And people were like bugging out because that
I thought there was some like real conspiracy, and all it is about this guy's fucking facial hair. Thanks, Gary.
Well, I will say, you know, there have been comments.
Arizona State Athletic Commission's racist. They gave 3 rounds of Vittori. Like I thought you were gonna come out with some really crazy shit.
Well,
it's like, no, Mike Beltran.
There may be referees that I am friends with who may or may not have ever worked for the UFC who talk about certain referees wanting a lot of attention. So like, what bigger way to get attention than to have giant fucking beard braids down to your waist? So somebody, you know, the athletic commission was like, yeah, nah, that's not happening.
That's who we should have on this. We should, next time we have this, if we can get him, we should have the no-nonsense Keith Peterson come on and do this segment with us.
Twitter legend, no-nonsense Keith Peterson. Oh, my God. That would be hysterical. I mean, he might have to chill with a live mic. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll hit him up. I'll ask him.
It'll be no-nonsense either way. Oh, my God. That would be fucking great. I love that one day I'm on Facebook and his wife suddenly discovered that there's 1,000 memes about him. and she's like, oh my God, I had no idea. And she posted a couple of them and we're all just fucking laughing hysterical. She's like, oh my God, I didn't know there was all this stuff about Keith on the fucking internet. And we're just in tears laughing. All kinds of memes with his face photoshopped into shit and whatnot.
Amazing.
Oh God, what was the comment that I sent to you guys the other day to Len, you and Walter? I have to look.
I'll have to look back. I'll have to look at my.
Yeah, there was some comment on a news story that referenced Keith. It was on Reddit, and I was just laughing. Hold on, I'll find it.
I'm scrolling back too. Let's see here.
Oh yeah, here it is. It was somebody commented on Reddit about that since they had full live audiences again.
Oh yeah, the broken bone.
There's been a broken bone on every pay-per-view card, which technically isn't true because it wasn't. It was just bad dislocation. It wasn't actually broken. But then in the comments, somebody says all early stoppages, in my opinion. And then somebody else says, were you by chance reffing tonight? And then somebody else says, I smelled cigarettes and liquor on his breath. So just random Keith Peterson references all over the internet. It's fucking great.
It's ridiculous that someone that we all know from playing shows and just being around, etc., is now like,
oh, it's amazing.
Meme territory on TV constantly, pay-per-views, etc. Like a known household entity. And if you had told me in like 2005 or 4, whenever I met Keith, that this was going to be the thing, I would have been like, no way. No way.
And there's at least one parody Twitter account.
Yeah, I follow No Nonsense Keith Peterson.
Yeah, supposedly I'm not sure if any of them are real. We might have a real one.
I don't think so.
Because he's not that much of a social media guy. But yeah, K Peterson UFC is a parody. There's some funny stuff because they got a picture of of Nate Diaz pointing, and it says me pointing at my friend who had too much to drink and could barely walk when he was like all dazed out. At the end of the fight. Oh man! Here's another one. Find a drinking partner that looks the same, that looks at you the same way Izzy and Moreno look at each other.
Oh god!
And they have a picture of them eating pizza after the fucking, I guess, at the press conference. Oh my god! Oh jeez.
What I will say is, and I think you both will agree with me, the internet is undefeated.
Oh, always.
Yeah,
always. Here's one for you. Just got word from the commission that Marvin Vittori put in the official request that the result from last night's UFC 263 be overturned because he thinks he won. The commission started laughing and told him that he hangs around Dominic Cruz too much.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yo, I hate Dominic Cruz, and you can tell him I said so. I fucking hate that guy. So annoying.
I don't like him as the fighter, and like the personality when he's got a fight. I think he's a really good commentator, though. I think he's got a lot of insightful points when he's a commentator. If I'm listening to learn while the fight is happening, I don't mind him because he has good insight.
I just put a picture in the chat of that same account. It's a picture of Keith, and they photoshopped a mustache and a sombrero on it.
So Dominic Cruz, he just straight annoys me no matter what he's doing. Even his commentary to me sounds arrogant, and I hate it. And
oh yeah, I can't stand his commentary either. It's the worst.
For a dude that's 135 pounds or 40, yeah, he's 135 pounds, maybe 150 pounds, and sure, he probably could whoop my ass, but god damn it, I weigh double you. Shut the fuck up.
Oh my god.
I'll lay on your ass.
Well, the thing is, he beats you up, but he would never knock you out.
Yeah, never.
That's true.
I mean, he could definitely run away from me. He could out footwork me, but that's about it.
Oh, dude, this account is so damn funny. I could sit here for a half hour and run off these things. They got a picture of the referee from the first match. First of all, they call him Dracula. And then they just put text over the picture of him, and it says "fuck his arm, just break it."
Oh god.
Oh man, it's so funny.
So do we have
next?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Is like, did either of you catch Clarissa Shields' debut?
I did. That was the only fight on that. It's the only fight on that card I watched.
Same.
I waited until the internet told me that she was coming out to the cage.
Yeah, I actually turned it on. Literally, I turned it on as she won, and I just hit rewind in the fucking app to the beginning of the fight. I watched
it live. Ariel Helwani was like, about to make history or whatever. I was like, oh shit, and I found it and put it on and watched it. So for an 0-0 person, if it was a random 0-0 person, I'd be like, cool fight. A lot of compromising positions, survived some sketchy stuff, looked good on the feet, came back, won in the third round. But because it's Clarissa Shields and who she is, she's definitely got a bigger magnifying glass on her.
Yeah.
If they PFL, Bellator, UFC, whoever fucking ends up taking her throughout her career, they have a really really weird situation on their hands because you can't keep giving her 1-1, 1-1, 0-1, 2-1. If you can't do that because of who she is, but at the same time, you give her anyone that has 5 fights and knows how to wrestle, she's done.
She's done. Immediately done. So Gary, do yourself a favor and find this fight later. Don't worry about it right now. We're going to talk about it, but it's worth just watching the evolution of someone who's never actually fought in the cage. Get their wits around them in a live situation, because practice is not actually fighting. It's just not the same thing.
So it's not a CM Punk situation.
Right. And this girl that she fought, if she had any fight IQ, she could have finished that fight. Probably twice. Clarissa Shields has no concept of the ground, and she forgot how to sprawl. And she didn't remember until the middle of the third round. And at that point, then, once she figured out how to sprawl, she finished the fight with TKO with punches to the face.
Right.
Now, what I will say is her hands are like fucking lightning.
So fast.
Like absolute lightning. And they look heavy punched. Like, I don't think any of these ladies want to get punched in the mouth by her, like, straight on. It doesn't seem like it's a good plan for, keeping your teeth in your mouth.
Yeah.
But what she does is she tried to attack like it was boxing, and she left her hips wide open.
Oh, yeah.
And it just was like, easy, takedown, takedown, takedown. And, like, anybody else finishes that fight. Like, somebody was like, yo, I saw somebody on Twitter, I want to see her fight Nunes next. I'm like, no, you don't. Because Nunes would just destroy her in 30 seconds. I don't care what the weight difference is. You could have Nunes weigh in at 135 and she'd run through her at 155 with no hesitation.
Why would you kill an up-and-comer like that?
And that's the interesting situation that PFL finds themselves as, because the only fight that people want to see in that now is her versus Kayla Harrison.
No, that's a bad...
Kayla Harrison
murder her.
Mauls her. Like,
it wouldn't even be close.
Yeah, like
no,
after watching that, I'm like, so you have a problem with PFL is that they have Clarissa Shields now, and they have to develop her. They can't rush her into that. They can't throw her to Kayla Harrison right now. That'd be fucking stupid. It wouldn't even do anything for Kayla Harrison's stock if she just runs through her. So you have to develop her, and then you somehow still have to please Kayla Harrison, because it's only a matter of time before the UFC poaches her to fight Nunes. Like, they'll bring her into the UFC, they'll give her a showcase fight, and then she's fighting. And if she wins that showcase fight, which she probably will, because that girl's a beast, they're throwing her right to Nunes, like, right away. Like, that's got to be that girl's, like, trajectory is finish out this tournament in PFL, win the $1 million in the belt, and then fucking go on to the UFC, fight who the fuck ever they give her at 145, and then throw her to Amanda Nunes. Because honestly, you got to do something to also keep Amanda Nunes happy. She says because she has a daughter, she's going to fight until she doesn't feel that her body can fight anymore. But at a certain point in time, she's going to be like, I'm bored. I'm just beating the shit out of everyone. Like, I need something.
Right. So they got to find new fights for her somehow.
Kayla Harrison, it's too early in her career, but she is the only interesting fight. Other than Valentina again, Kayla Harrison is literally the only interesting fight in the world for her.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you, I've watched a number of Kayla Harrison's fights, and granted, the people she's fighting in PFL are definitely not world beaters. Let's be clear. They are the up-and-comers, and these are the people that will eventually feed in at some point. But she is head and shoulders better than anybody else in that whole situation over there.
I say because she weighs 155, but she can fight at 145. You put her into the UFC right now. You just drop her into the mix. She's already top 10 in the 145, like, easily. And I know
she's top 5.
Yeah.
There's not that many they already got rid of Megan Anderson. She's out of contract. Yeah. So who else? Who else is 145? In like guaranteed 145 in UFC. Yeah. There's like nobody.
Yeah, she beats Felicia Spencer.
Yep.
She beats, I mean, what's her face? What the hell's the kickboxer's name? She fought Nunes twice and lost to her. Now I can't remember her name.
I'm trying to remember. I know who you're talking about.
I have like her face. Like, I can picture her face, but I can't remember her name. She's Dutch. She's from Holland. I can't remember her name.
Oh, jeez.
Germaine de Ramani.
Yeah.
Germaine de Ramani.
That might be a tough fight for Kayla Harrison. Like, that she's good. She just can't beat Amanda Nunes. But Kayla Harrison, like, is immediately in the mix, like, away if we drop her off.
I'm telling you right now, Kayla Harrison beats Holly Holm. Kayla Harrison beats any of the girls that have gone from 135 up to 145. It's Norma Dumont, Felicia Spencer, Zara dos Santos. Like, I'm naming off girls. Like, there's literally 8 girls on the list at 145, and then there's a couple of the bantamweight girls that have gone up to 145. And honestly, outside of Durandamy and Nunes, I could see Harrison going through all of them because she's like kind of vicious, and most of these other girls ain't vicious. Maybe if Juliana Pena would go up to 145, she might give her some trouble just because she has the wrestling pedigree.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
You know, I think Juliana Pena is about to get her fucking soul taken from her.
Oh, it's about to be bad for her. It's about to be real bad.
That girl talked herself into a fucking buzzsaw. Like, what are you doing?
But then again, if you're a fighter, your job is to try and get the title, right?
Yeah.
So she's got to try at some point, and whether it's this year or next year, Nunes is most likely going to be the champ. So if you're going to talk yourself into a fight, you're not trying to talk yourself into, Raquel Pennington or Holly Holm. Those are easy fights to get. You say, hey, I want to fight you, and they'll be like, yeah, I'll fight you. Whereas Nunes, you got to try and get something going to get her interested in beating your face.
Yeah. But it's like one of those things. It's like, well, here's your options. You're like, fuck. Fine.
Well, all right, think about it this way. Juliana Pena is not going to have the hands to fight Nunes. And I don't think she has the ground skills to sub Nunes. So then what are we even talking about? It's like a wasted fight in my opinion. But I'll take it. I'll watch it.
She's got to go through the meat grinder just to get to the ground.
Right.
But to get to her bread and butter, you got to walk through like fucking canyons. Like, I don't want to get punched by Amanda Nunes, and I'm bigger than her. Like, what the fuck? Like, fuck that.
But then, I just came across this looking at something else. Why is Nunes trying to get into the celebrity boxing game?
Money. Real money.
Oh, God.
But no, you got to understand, Gary. And
that's for when you're done.
It is for when you're done, but I mean, you got to think about it this way. These people have been fighting for so many years, and they don't get paid what they should be getting paid. And they look at boxers getting paid insane numbers, and they go, well, you know what? I'm the champ, or I'm way up the list. I'm trying to make my money. I got to make my money now. And I think it's a little lame, but I also can't blame them.
See, but I'm talking all this shit. Meanwhile, you and I both know goddamn well that I'll put money up to watch her fucking punch the fuck out of Kim Kardashian.
Sure.
I mean, I can't front, okay? Like, oh, she's gonna punch that bitch in the face? Take my money.
I would watch her fight Jake Paul. Fuck it. Like, let her beat him up.
I honestly don't think that Jake Paul could beat her.
I don't think so either.
Here's an It's Time over the weekend, and this will be my last It's Time. Fucking Aaron Carter, don't ever step into a ring ever again.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And Lamar Odom, don't.
Neither one of you.
We knew that was going to be a train wreck.
Dude, pants are falling down. Chuck Liddell's the referee. Like, what the fuck? No, everyone.
Yo, Chuck Liddell almost got knocked out by the breeze.
Yeah, everyone that was in the ring, don't get in the ring again.
Yeah, but dude, Aaron Carter, like, how many people have Aaron Carter on their Deadpool right now? I mean, Jesus Christ, that dude looks terrible. And that dude looks cracked the fuck out. Like, he was on, like, Dr. Phil or some shit. Somebody was talking about it. I saw some clips, and, like, they had his mother on, and he's just like, like he was just, like, fucking bugging the fuck out. He looked like something out of fucking Evil Dead, and I was just like, what the fuck happened to this dude? So now he's fucking boxing? Jesus Christ.
Well, it's time.
It's definitely time.
It's been time. Time for him to check out. God damn. What a mess.
Well,
I don't know. You know what? It's time for no more fucking, like, it's time to tone it down with the decisions.
Because
this card was, well, what was it? Between the main, the prelims, and the early prelims, you only had 1, 2, 3 fights that were not decision.
Yep.
Pathetic. And like, okay, with the main card, that's one thing, but when you get these younger up-and-comers, like these prelims...
Everybody's training all the same stuff, and everybody is so similar now. It's just hard.
I've complained about that for years and years. It's like they train these guys too much with the points. Get the points, win the round, like not finish the fucking fight. And that's where
That's why Pride was the best.
Oh yeah. Well,
yellow
and
cards, and you could win the fight by just winning the end.
Well,
you had to smash someone.
You know, the fact that there were some lighter restrictions might have helped too. You know?
You could just fucking neighborhood kick someone right in the face.
Well, that, and you could just, you know, I don't think they were exactly drug testing to the same level.
100% they were not.
I don't think saying that, like, I don't know for a fact that these dudes were juiced up out of their fucking faces, because half of them came over to UFC and were suddenly fucking pussycats. But come on.
Yeah.
Heath Herring?
Oh, God.
So many of those dudes came over here and suddenly were just non-players. I don't know why. What could be different? Prescriptions.
You're being nice.
Yeah. Quote, air quotes, big giant air quotes with my entire hand. Prescriptions.
Oh, you want to talk about prescriptions? Let's talk about Overeem when he came in and fought fucking Brock Lesnar.
Oh, horse meat.
He would not even fit in my house. Like, literally, he couldn't get in the door.
But that's a horse meat diet.
Yeah, horse meat.
Horse whole hands, horse meat. That's what they're calling it.
That's why I love Derek Lewis. Because there is no horse
the size of a horse.
That dude is just coming in throwing ham hocks, and I'm loving it.
Yep. Not giving a fuck.
No, Derek Lewis straight up says that it's Popeye's chicken. He was offended. He was offended when he fought DC. He's like, why got insulted? He's like, I want to hit him because he insulted the Popeyes. like, so there's no horse meat there. He fully will tell you what his diet is.
no horse meat. Strictly them biscuits.
Yo, you want to talk about biscuits? The crime faces that from the basketball game.
Oh,
the Suns in 4?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fantastic.
Yo, that final uppercut was like the sealed deal.
I'm gonna fuck your boy up. Boom, and he hits him. And his Suns in 4. And then they won in 4. That dude's a legend.
It was a Dumb and Dumber haircut. Oh my god, it was so good.
Yo, you could see on the dude with the Dumb and Dumber haircut, you could see he was going to throw that punch. Anybody that knows somebody that's going to throw a sucker punch could see it in his face.
You could see that, and you know what else you could see? You could see that he was going to whiff it. Because he was a fucking dummy.
Yo, he turtled up like a fucking baby, too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he thought he was going to get that money shot, and when that money shot didn't pay off, all of a sudden he was getting rained on.
We've all seen that at a show.
You have made a terrible decision.
What if he went up and thought about what he did?
See, that's the best part about Crime Faces, because they pick the shit that's already entertaining if you just watch the straight fight. Mm-hmm. And then their commentary over it just puts it completely over the top.
Oh yeah,
but they're already picking quality material. Whether it's a fucking homeless dude in the middle of the street, or 2 dudes at a Phoenix Sun game.
When he fucking called, when he was doing the commentary on the slap boxing thing, I said this to Len the other day, and he's like, I think this guy's a devil worshiper or a white rapper, I don't know. And then he's like, I was like, oh my god, I don't even remember what he said, but he said he smacked the he's like, he hit him with a Palm Sunday or something like that. I don't know, but I was just like dying. I was like, oh my God. When he called that kid a devil worshiper, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, best commentary on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, it's
there's so many, because Len and I will send them back and forth to each other, and there's always at least one quotable line in there. Like from that one, it was too much prep time, not enough rep time. Oh my God.
I find myself
Oh,
watching
it's
things
so
on the
good.
internet, I'm going, bonsai.
yeah, exactly. Bonsai.
Bonsai.
He hit him with the bonsai.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. There's so many good ones. Oh, it's fucking fantastic.
I don't know if I'm 5 or what, but that shit just makes me die in laughter. I look forward to it all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, did he post something today? Did he post something?
Anytime I see like a fight video of any kind, I'm like, I'm just waiting for him to post his commentary on this.
Yeah.
The other thing me and Gary end up sending back and forth is food fights. That's like our big thing to send back and forth.
McDonald's, like, Popeyes,
any fights inside of a restaurant.
And it has happened sometimes where we'll do that, and then it'll end up on Crime Faces like a couple hours later.
It's so good.
Where the entire staff of Popeyes is smacking somebody up. Oh, it's so good.
Yo, did you guys see the one recently where some dude was like trying to smash the Walmart worker with a cart, and he hit him like twice, and as he's trying to walk away, the Walmart worker breaks away from his partner and knocks the dude out cold?
Well, that dude spit on him.
Really?
That dude spit on the Walmart worker.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
that's why the guy fucking fucked him up.
Well, yeah, I mean, you spit on me. Even if you take me, we're still fighting. Like you spit on me. That's the end of the line.
You spit on me, I'm probably losing my job.
Yeah.
I think the kid got fired. I know there was like an internet petition to like get him his job back because he was in the right. Like, yeah, you get spit on, like that dude deserves an ass whooping. I don't give a fuck what company or where it happens.
Yep. That's just the no-fly zone. Don't spit on people.
No.
Because if you spit on somebody, know that hands are most likely coming back your way.
Yeah.
That's just it is what it is.
Yeah, you're 100% asking for a fight if you spit on someone.
Well, there's that, and then the one that I never ever get it, because it's never going to go well, is when you start spitting racial shit at like a giant black dude.
Yeah, like what are you thinking?
Like your shit's going to get folded in half. like the dude outside, that one dude outside, it looked like a church that got folded like over the railing. Like the dude literally like called him the N-word or something, and giant black dude just knocked that dude over a railing and basically folded him in half, like the back of his head was touching his feet. Like, what on earth would make you think that this is a good idea?
I don't have an answer for you.
And I'm not even talking like a scorpion from Ridiculousness where, like, your feet kind of curl over. I'm talking about like you're actually folded in half. Like the top half and the bottom half of your body are parallel over this railing. And the only thing that's close to that was the infamous McDonald's chick.
Oh, God.
Where she just pounded that girl.
Yeah, she
tried to pop shit with the manager that was like twice her size, and that manager just took her and like folded her in half over the table.
Yo, let's talk about this for 1 second. If you're wilding out in any business and you get your ass handed to you, that person should not lose their job as long as they didn't start it. Like, if somebody starts throwing hands at me, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to go.
Yeah. Well, I'll refer again to what I posted on Malone's Facebook that time, where I think once a week an employee should be allowed to put hands on a customer. And if you got a big enough store or business, whatever it is, that means today is somebody's day, so you're not gonna fuck around. Mm-hmm. Because there's 7 days in a week. If you got more than 7 employees, somebody's good to go that day. You know what I'm saying? So don't fuck around, because your odds on that lottery are not good at all. Because somebody's day, it's somebody's day, so you're gonna catch the hands if you get out of line.
You show up to work on Tuesday, you're like, yes, I get to fuck someone up today.
Yeah, like today's my day.
Somebody's up at the front counter wilding out.
You're like, Bob! Why do all these people at McDonald's now look like MMA fighters?
Hold on. Today's Tuesday? Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah. John, to the front, please. Oh, shit.
There's a chart on the front wall. Whose day of hands is it?
It's just got like the fist emoji and names next to it, and like column for each day, like
has their record, has their knockouts. You're like, shit.
And the place has cameras, so you know you're gonna get the good footage.
And then immediately send it to our boy Crime Faces.
Yep, Crime Face is getting the straight feeds. Like there's commercial deals happening there.
It's Tuesday. Back at it again with John.
Welcome to Met Food Grocery, sponsored by Crime Faces.
Yo, when he hit the Rakata, work, bro. Bong bong Rakata.
Oh man,
I was talking to Scott Miller.
Board, man.
And I was trying to explain. Well, I mean, he watches Crime Faces too, and I'm like, yo, it reminds me of going to shows in the city and just overhearing random conversations of other people that I happen to know or whatever, or just people talking to each other. That's what listening to Crime Faces is for me.
Like, oh no, he did it now. Watch. Oh God, I've done that a million times. It shows. It's like you know who's gonna you know who the people are that you don't want to hit. So it's like, okay, he bumped into Greg. This is not gonna go well. Rest in peace to my boy Little Greg, because he used to do that shit all the time. It's like if somebody bumped into him the wrong way, he would take a minute, but you knew because he was just watching and waiting, and then the right time hit, and it was bad news.
Bonsai.
Somebody was catching the bonsai, for sure.
Oh man.
Oh, so much fun. Oh, violence.
Well, John Wren, thanks for joining us for another It's Time.
It's fun. It's going to be a minute, though. I think we don't have any fights of any kind coming up.
Really?
I think there's something coming up next week.
There's a bunch of shitty
cards.
Yeah, I think July is the next big one.
The next
fight.
Yeah,
Connor fight.
Maybe it would be It's Time and Connor.
Well, I know who we're going to be. It's timing. Misha fucking Tate.
You think?
Geez.
Oh yeah.
She's fighting again?
Yeah, she's fighting again, bro.
Fine.
She's fighting. What is her name?
Is she on the Connor card?
I believe she is on the Connor card.
I'm looking now. There's a couple of fight nights.
That's UFC 264, right?
Yeah.
June 19th and 26th. UFC 264. Connor. She's on the prelims?
I don't know. Dude.
According to what I'm looking at, she's not on the card.
Maybe she's not. Maybe that's not the card she's on.
Maybe. Oh, no. She's on UFC Fight Night Holloway versus Rodriguez on Saturday, July 17th. So she's part of that, fight week.
Yeah.
So she's fighting Marion Renault. And Renault is no slouch. So, she's been out of the game for, 4 years now?
Yeah.
Had 2 kids. I'm pretty sure it's going to be It's Time because, she looks great. I follow her on Instagram and maybe somewhere else, too. I got no personal issue with Misha Tate. I always enjoyed her fights. but I just feel like it's been too long that you've been out of the game. The game has definitely progressed since you've been gone.
Yeah, I could see that.
Also,
the thing.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Having kids is always an odd factor. It either fucking takes you out of the game, like when your fire goes away because you're like, oh, I have everything I need. Like I'm a mom. Like that's job number one. Or it can be the motivator. It can be like, now I have a fucking fire lit under my ass because I have 2 kids and I'm out here. This is to put food on their plates, type of thing. So some people, and like, maybe that's where she's at. Maybe she's at like, I needed to get away when I did, and now she's got 2 kids, and she's like, I'm ready to beat some fucking asses to like, give my kids a better life.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she was like VP or some shit for one, but they're notoriously bad with money. I heard they're like bleeding money, so I don't know what the hell kind of deal she had. I mean, I'm sure she got paid, but I mean, she got paid enough that she decided up and moved to Singapore for a while.
Right, but she moved back. They moved home.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give Miesha Tate credit for one thing that we've seen with a bunch of the high-level female fighters, like Ronda or Gina. She's probably the highest level that's actually taken a loss and still kept going. Because Ronda took a couple of losses and that was it.
And well, she packed her bags
and Gina lost once and then that was it.
With Ronda, what you have to remember is that she was such a marquee fighter that they could not push her down the card and continue to give her fights that were not the highest level fights. And she could have easily stuck around and continued to fight at the level that she was able to, but they weren't going to pay her what she wanted.
Yeah.
And it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense for UFC, and it didn't make sense for her to take that kind of pay cut, to take that kind of exposure cut, just to be part of the pack.
That's true, but I feel in her case that after she lost that first fight, you could see that she wasn't the same. Like she lost that fire.
She got her face kicked off.
But that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah,
I mean,
her fighting soul is still somewhere in that stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gina was the same thing because Gina lost once and then you never saw her again.
Well,
unless you watched The Mandalorian.
Hollywood came calling for Gina, and cheesesteaks came calling for Gina.
I mean, she was going to come back at that one point because I was actually at the show where they announced that she was coming back, and then
they couldn't get her and Dana couldn't get the money right. They couldn't
it was a Strike Force show.
It was a Strike Force show.
It was a Strike Force show. It was the night. Oh God, we talked about this a while ago. It was a Strike Force show in Jersey at the Izod Center.
Was I there?
I don't remember. I was there with Walter. You may have been there.
I think I was there because I think it was me, you, Walter, Sacco, and my friend Val. I think we all met up.
Probably, yeah. That was the 2011 show.
Was that the night that Bigfoot beat Fedor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that night was when they announced in an interview thing at ringside that Gina was coming back. And then she had some mysterious medical issue that was rumored to be her being pregnant. And then she just disappeared.
Well, her thing with the UFC was a timing issue. They had the money, and they knew that she was going to fight. She always knew that she was going to fight Ronda first. But she's like, I can't fight Ronda on 4 months' notice because I haven't trained, and I need to get a team together and this, that, and the other thing. And you got to, like, let me first get back in shape and then get into fight shape. And Dana didn't want to fucking hang out for a year. He wanted her to fight in, 4 months. And she was like, it's just not possible. And especially not to come. It's my comeback fight after fucking 7 years at that point.
Right.
And she's like, no, none of that makes sense to me. And then Dana went on the internet and said, she doesn't want to fight. She's, jerking us around. And she was like, well, okay, fine. See you later.
Yeah, but I forget. Was that around the time that she had been doing American Gladiators?
No, it was after all that.
Okay, because she had. I remember one of the things that happened was that she had bulked up for American Gladiators. And then she had to kind of cut back down.
No, she said she was just literally. She's like, she goes to the gym. She's like, I still kickbox every now and then, but she's like, it's not fight camp. It's not getting in fight shape. It's just like, hey, I do something to blow off some steam and kind of stay in shape. But yeah, I mean, Gina. You know, she revealed herself pretty deeply in the last year. So like, I don't really give a shit about seeing her fight and getting money like that. I don't need to see her. And honestly,
hey, I put her in there with Nunes. I'll take that. I'll watch that.
Yeah.
But
I'll watch that.
The crazy thing is too, like, now knowing what we know about Ronda, like, there's a very real chance that Gina could have come back and fucking tuned her up.
Could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I thought when they announced that fight, I'm like, well, that she's getting fucking taken down and her arm's getting ripped off in like a minute, and there's no, and everyone will go, well, that's what we expected for 7 years away. But then I was like, in hindsight, I'm like, maybe if Gina had a sprawl and kept the fight at distance, she could fucking light her up. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, who cares?
We will never know.
Yeah. What I will say that though is, though Miesha Tate and Ronda Rousey fought twice already, and Miesha lost both of them. If it was right now, I would pick Miesha.
I agree.
Miesha could have won that second fight.
Yep,
because
she could have.
every time she fucking threw punches, she landed, and Ronda, you could see in her face, was like, Ronda did not like get punched.
No.
Yeah.
And when she got punched, she like, you know, went wide eyed like deer in headlights. And Miesha hit her like a bunch of times in that second fight where it stopped Ronda's like forward progress and like shocked her. And then as soon as she did it, Miesha went for a takedown, and then would get like reversed because Ronda has the judo. And I'm like, that whole fight, I was like screaming at my TV.
Just punch her in the face.
Just stop taking her down. Just make it a kickboxing fight. If Miesha Tate turned that into a boxing or kickboxing fight and kept that standing, she would have won that fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the you know, histories would have been, you know, completely changed.
Oh, for sure.
Like, so
what could have been.
Yeah.
Gentlemen.
Yep.
Till the next time.
Till the next time, it's time.
The Upgrade Podcast.net for violence and more violence. Now go to Crime Faces on Instagram.
Or Crime Faces X. X. Because
they've got a few because they
keep getting all the stuff pulled down.
They keep getting the ban hammer because of nerds that like
being too fucking funny. That's really what it comes down to.
Nerds that like to report them and hate because they're putting out quality content. Stop that shit, nerds. Thank you, John Wren.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you, Len Carmichael.
The pleasure is all on that side of the table.
No, it's not. I'm Gary Muttley. Len Carmichael, John Wren, The Upgrade. It's been a special It's Time episode. And we will be back again soon. Peace.
Peace.